am a living witness. 2 years after I didn't collect my passport. Because you go there, the sleaze, they want the contact where you come, we call you aside, you see a big heap of activity. And because a lot of Nigerians went to Japa, it was another business for those who were issuing passport. So imagine the number of Nigerians who have left and what it cost them to get passport by contact with officials. What has exchanged hands. So that's what I'm telling you. Nigeria has come out with a wonderful idea of making Nigerians renew their passport by not contacting anybody. They will still go to collect it from somewhere. There is still contact.
Absolutely.
And God help those who, when the passport jumps out, because you stay down in the comfort of your home and renew and do everything, you went to collect anywhere. You must go with helmet. They hand the helmet, anything like hand helmet, so that there will be no contact. Okay. Go with a nose mask. Go with pocket mask. Mask everywhere, so that nobody will have you go there, they draw the passport on the ground and you pick it. And say contactless, so that no official of Nigerian Immigration Service will have contact with you. Because if they do, what happened in recent past is more likely to continue happening. Probably maybe with the reduced. Because imagine when you come. A passport at that time, I know it was less than 15,000 or something. And somebody said pay 75,000, so you get it. I was told. I'm not quoting. And I said, we don't need online, please. I said, okay, go home. I imagine what they said. This one thing said, you know the usual thing here from security. Are you teaching me my job? Once you see any of those people in position of authority, say, are you teaching my job? When you ask questions and deserve an answer, you say that this one, you say, you are proving you know too much. They will show you. That's why. And that's what we say. So let's go. Contactless, 16 billion opioid in Lagos captured.
We have to go.
So they tell you that it's not a small man business. 16 billion naira worth of opioid in one catch. And that will tell you how many waters that pass under the bridge every day. And the money involvement. God bless Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Chris, for your time. And of course, that's where we're going to,
I know that time I've already packed and I'm on my way.
Okay. All right, keep listening, keep being tuned to our channel, and we'll be right back after this short break.
Welcome to Southeast News on Signature TV. Glad to be back with you. It was a wonderful weekend. We'll get to that. But for now, I am Barry Kumwado. The headlines. PDP wins local government election in ENUGU, while APC wins in Imo. Police identify officers assaulting a man in viral video in Imo. Stay with us. The People's Democratic Party, PDP, won all chairmanship positions in the Enugu State Council elections held on Saturday. Professor Christian ENUGU, chairman of the Enugu State Independent Electoral Commission, NCEC, declared the results, praising the Commission's conduct of a free and fair election. Election declared Saturday, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, won all the chairmanship and councillorship positions in the 17 local government areas. PDP chairman-elect celebrated a victory with Akezi Akauden local government promising a massive agricultural revolution and improved infrastructure. Greg Anyegbudike of G River local government vowed to prioritize youth empowerment through job creation and skills acquisition programs. Notably, opposition candidates were absent from the NCEC declaration, sparking speculation about the election's outcome.
Say thank you to God for making this possible, and also to our Governor, His Excellency Dr. Ketanji Bisimba, who gave me the ticket to run on the platform of our great party, the PDP. And then to my people, to this Suzo, I want to say a big thank you to them because they spoke with one voice yesterday in the election and gave us a landslide victory. So, and I believe they already know that we have them in mind in terms of governance and development from what we did in my first tenure. So they should even expect more.
And we stand on maintaining that it is all about Ojiriva, it is about Greater Ojiriva, and it is about making sure that Ojiriva get the best of life. That's what we are created for, that's what we are supposed to do, and that's why we are here to do it. It is all about Ojiriva.
The Imo State Independent Electoral Commission, ECEC chairman, Mr. Charles Ejogo, declared the All Progressives Congress, APC and Imo winners of Saturday's elections for all the councillorship and chairmanship positions in the 27 local government areas of the state. The Imo State Independent Electoral Commission declared the results of elections at its collation center located at its headquarters in Owerri on Sunday. The ECEC chairman, Mr. Charles Ejogo, declared the results without announcing the figures polled by the parties that participated in the exercise, said that all the details of the results were made available accordingly. Said out of the 19 registered political parties, 17 participated in election, which took place in 305 electoral wards, 27 local government areas, and 4 the advocates will converge to Noka, the Anambra State capital, to mark the World Peace Day, blamed governments around the world for the state of affairs. Correspondent Ndu Okmaleze saw it all.
A peace advocate group known as the United Nations Peace and Positive Living Awareness Center, UN PEPOLAC, gathered experts from the Ivory Towers, faith-based organizations and peace institutions to mark the day with lectures and call to actions. The international coordinator of the UN PEPOLAC, which functions under the auspices of the United Nations Economic and Social Commission, ECOSOC, Dr. Ziomo Zemena, said the group joins the rest of the world annually to Georgia for world peace. Ozemena, a Pentecostal bishop, in commending the Anambra State government for the law on conflict resolution, requested Governor Chukwuma Soludo to give life to the law by setting up the commission to enhance peace and security in the state. He said the organization has started a peace building in Awka to assist in alternative dispute resolution and reconciliation.
This project, when actualized, will be a masterpiece. It will serve a lot of purposes, all for conferences, seminars, and workshops, outdoor courses, international college of peace advocates, peace education and tourism, guest house, amongst other facilities. Dear distinguished audience, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I beckon all of us to support this multi-billion-dollar Peace House project as a legacy project for generations to come.
In his keynote speech, the director, Institute for Peace, Security and Development Studies, UNIZIK Awka, Professor Jaja Nwanebu, identified injustice, denials, and deprivations as root causes of strife and disharmony. He said the culture of peace is achieved by consultations and interface for leaders to listen to the masses, address their needs based on equity and justice.
Structural violence is oppression. That's the notion that creates a condition that generates hunger, that generates poverty, and that affects access to education. We call it structural violence. If you have it, you don't have peace. The third one is the cultural violence. Cultural violence is that one which makes it difficult for somebody that exists within children born by the same father. One is a male, the other one is a female, and because it's a female, it's not entitled to anything in the family. That is what we call cultural violence.
Another university don and an ambassador for peace of the United Nations PEPOLAC, Professor Echezona Ihejirika, regretted the crisis and conflicts around the world, citing the cases of Israel and Hamas, Ukraine and Russia, and some African countries torn apart due to intolerance and tight leadership.
That there's no peace in the world. It is painful. I was imagining what is happening in other parts of the world. I don't need to mention them. But I know in my wrap-up here, I said countries like Sudan, the Democratic Republic of Congo, even Nigeria, there's no peace anywhere. And so in celebrating peace today, we must celebrate it in a sober mood because the world is in total crisis and it is so painful.
The coordinator of the National Open University of Nigeria Awka Study Center, Dr. Bibiani Uguala, in discussing the theme of the day, spoke against unhealthy use of the internet, especially by the younger generation, and called on students participating on the World Peace Day celebration to take home the need to be peaceful in all their approaches by using technology to cultivate peace.
We live in a society where wealth is prioritized, no matter how you get the wealth. Whether you are a good boy, whether you steal your parents for money, you are prioritized. You come here, they'll give you big titles and so. And now I said again, we live in a generation where we are standing everywhere with technology.
Chairman on the occasion, Dr. Innocent Akuvwe, described as apt the theme of this year's World Peace Day, which is cultivating a culture of peace, the imperative for a contemporary society. The celebration was climaxed with the appointment of more peace advocates into the fold of UN PEPOLAC as ambassadors for world peace by the convener and international coordinator, Dr. Zemena. Ndo Okpaleze, Signature TV News.
A newly consecrated Anglican Bishop of ENUGU Diocese, Most Reverend Professor Samuel Ike, has pledged to serve the Church of Christ with all his being and might, as well as absolute purity. The bishop made a pledge at his enthronement and thanksgiving service held at the Cathedral Church of the Good Shepherd, Independence Layout, Enugu. Bishop Ike was among the new bishops recently collated by the Church of Nigeria Anglican Communion. Signature TV correspondent Chinemere Mikegbunam witnessed the event and now reports.
It was an atmosphere of praise and worship of the Almighty God at the Cathedral Church of Good Shepherd as people gathered from far and near to celebrate with the new bishop of the diocese who was consecrated few days ago. The consecration service, which took place at St. Andrew's Basilica, Transekulu, also in ENUGU, witnessed the emergence of 7 bishops and 4 archbishops from the Church of God Anglican Communion, where Bishop Samuel Ike was enthroned as the bishop of the ENUGU diocese. The bishop, in what he referred to as his manifesto, which he read to the congregation, enjoined churches in the diocese, members of the body of Christ, and every other person to be ready for the great commission of winning souls for Christ. He also spoke of his vision to resuscitate the health center in ENUGU diocese.
I never set out in my entire life desiring for any position, let alone the office of the bishop. Since I surrendered my life to Jesus Christ, as a 13-year-old boy in federal government college in ENUGU for more than in 1977, as my Lord and personal Savior, I've had only one consuming passion to know the Lord and to serve God unreservedly and wholeheartedly my whole life. Being a member of it and serve in any position, opportunity that avails me in my experience, and using every platform he affords me to be a change agent, to impact lives, to win souls, to heaven's gate and the light. And I'm praying, God, that this will also be one of it in the name of Jesus Christ.
The former governor of Anambra State and the 2023 Labour Party presidential candidate, Peter Obi, and the wife of the governor of Abia State, Priscilla Oti, gave their goodwill messages to the new bishop.
In all of this area, it is manipulated from society. You're not doing it from society, you're doing it from society and related support. I want to congratulate, especially the bishop, today on your assumption of office and duty. Say congratulations, and of course, like you have said, all plans that you have. When I was reading out the plans, I was amazed because I think this is like government. Thank you so much, and I pray that God will perfect all the plans concerning the development of the state and the poverty alleviation.
Friends and well-wishers of the new bishop shared some knowledge about Bishop Ike.
What one achieves in life, I believe, is a function of one's effort and God's grace upon his or her life. And I think that grace is sufficient upon his life. So with that, I'm not in doubt that he's going to accomplish much within the very period that is still available for him.
I've known him for more than 30 years, and I have known him to live the things he preached. So there's no aspect of his life that is hypocritical. Because what he is in the public is what he is at home. A life set aside for Christ.
The enthronement of our new bishop, Sam Ike, is a call for revival. I think the cry of the people of God have gone to heaven to send revival, and we know by the mercies of God, God has prepared this man for years for this, and we can say that this is a child of God.
My prayer for him is that those things that he has listed, which are his manifesto, so to say, which are part of the commission of the Lord Jesus Christ in Matthew 28, 18 to 20, that he will carry them to the letter and will not deviate from what he has always believed.
The large turnout of members of the Anglican Communion and other denominations and well-wishers from all parts of the Federation shows a large level of acceptance from the Christendom. Chinemerem Ikebunam, Signature TV News.
A viral video showing a violent confrontation with a man in Imo State on September 16, 2024 shows officers pinning 32-year-old Prince Amechi to the ground over alleged drug trafficking while he was carrying his child. The victim's wife, who recorded the incident, called for help in the process. The Imo State Police Command has launched an investigation into the incident. Reacting to the video in a press statement on Sunday, the spokesperson for the command, Henry Okoye, said 4 anti-narcotics unit operatives were involved in the incident and then fired a policeman as Sergeant Patrick Nwagbo, Corporal Godswill Okechukwu, Corporal Justice Narom, and Corporal Goodluck Iwago, all from Ovoro Uzomiri Umosu Naze in the Owerri North local government of Imo State. According to Okoye, the police command condemned the officers' action, describing it as unprofessional. He added that the State Commissioner of Police, Aboki Danjuma, had ordered the case transferred to the IGP X-Squad, Imo State Command, for a thorough investigation. He added that the operators involved have been apprehended for interrogation.
You as a young guy, police stopped you and said, enter car. After checking your paper and see your paper is not complete, and they say enter car.
This is a live video. They hold my husband. He did nothing. This is a live video. Now making this video live. See my unborn child. I'm a CS mother, just 2 months, and they're holding my child. Police people are here. See their boss. This is a live video now happening. He did nothing. What is his crime? They refuse to say anything. They're with boss. I want to know my husband. Did nobody? They are carrying. I'm not gay. I'm not gay. Man, I'm not shock. I'm just let you back gate by this time. See what they did to people's markets. Look at what they did to people's markets. Just see.
Now to Anambra State, where it would appear it is a season of arrest for eagle-eyed vigilantes in some of the communities in the state. We have 3 persons and that's from different operations. Reports from Ogbaru, accompanied by another viral video, says suspected mastermind of burning down of local government secretariat and killing of many innocent residents were last night arrested by the Ogbaru strike force. The tracking down of the suspect, Okudili, commonly known as Eselu, is met with joy and celebrations by residents of the communities who have been having sleepless nights in recent times. And at Nokwa Community, Demili South local government area, the men of the Anambra Vigilantes group in the area arrested a boy in his early 20s who was caught with bundles of electric wires he stole from homes in the area. Also, at Amobia, Oka South Council area, a 23-year-old Chibuike Okafo was caught by the local guard at a construction site for stealing of cables from the site. With a busting of criminal hideouts at Ihiala local government area over the weekend, where improvised explosive devices and vehicles were recovered by the police, it is the beginning, and it sounds good for Anambra residents who are gearing up for local government elections on Saturday, 28 September 2024. That's the news for now. When we return, we'll definitely start our conversations. Stay with us. It's good to know you were there and we are here. Well, I need to tell you that the best thing to do after an election weekend is to go back and ask yourself some of the questions you asked before the election day. Were those who were in charge of conducting the elections ready? How ready were they? If they were not ready at all, could they have effectively managed the situation better than what they did? We'll find out as we start our conversation looking at the local government elections in Enugu State and that of Imo. I recall that last week, while having a conversation about the forthcoming elections, as at then, there was one prediction that was as if everybody was going to town with it, and that was the prediction that in every state that a particular party was in power, that party will carry the day. I know you guessed right. But joining me on our conversation today is Charles Pius. Charles Pius, of course, you know, is of Signature TV. Charles, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. Good afternoon.
You were one of those who did say that the election will go nowhere. Whichever party was in charge of a state would emerge triumphant. And it happened in Enugu, where PDP is in power. PDP cleared all the local governments, chairmanship and councillors. The same, APC in charge of Imo, they swept the polls.
Absolutely. I mean, you're going to ask a question, or should I just jump on it?
Because you're jumping on it already.
Yeah, so, I mean, how you know whether an election is going to be right, at least something close to what is stated on the books, is actually the activities leading to the day of the elections. For Imo State, for crying out loud, IPAC, the Inter-Party Advisory Council of Nigeria, the chapter, the Imo State chapter, pulled out of that election. That is, the political parties, opposition political parties, pulled out of that particular election. Before that particular day, the IMSEC refused to publish the names of those who were actually supposed to participate in that election. That is telling you that they didn't even have a candidate for that particular election. There was no there was no meeting of stakeholders of the particular election stating this was how the elections are going to go and stating the guidelines of the particular elections. And in fact, there was nothing that showed that there was going to even be an election on Saturday in Imo State, just 2 days back. So it was going to be another sham election. You know, in Nigeria, when you say an election doesn't meet the standard of the electoral body, you say it's a sham election. If there's anything called something worse than sham, that is exactly what happened in Imo State, frankly speaking, because there's no way to, you know, describe it or to call it. I mean, for crying out loud, you know, when you have an election, at least you see where people fabricate numbers and say, oh, you know what, these numbers were the ones that voted, these numbers were the ones that got accredited. But do you know that up until this moment, the election was announced, winners of the election was announced yesterday, and it was announced without numbers?
Yes, yes. Don't worry, I'm sure we might get a bigger hint about what the numbers are, because during the duration of the conversations we're going to have concerning the election, we're going to speak to some of the actors during the event. So okay, not to worry there. Now, what confuses me about the Imo State election is the fact that some parties did say they were contesting. Yet, when the election's result came out, we discovered that Charles had nothing on his name, and I had nothing on my name. So we just had a declaration, party APC won all the 27 local government areas. And my question is, when are we going to improve?
Well, I think that the governors who are actually having the elections around this time, I mean, like you can see, other states had their elections just last Saturday. We had Kwara State, we had Sokoto State having their elections, and you see there's a surge of local government election. Anambra states that never had an election in the last 10 years you know, suddenly woke up to want to have an election which is due this Saturday.
Yes.
So it's more like a barrage because of the so-called judgment by the Supreme Court saying that local government autonomy financially must be given, and if they do not have that election, then monies for local government areas will be withheld. So it gives you that sense that even those who we call our governors, you know, sometimes when these issues come up with this end bad governance protest, end hunger protest, I tend to cringe that the first point of call for these types of protests are supposed to be governors, because there have been more monies available to them since this government of President Tinubu took over. And the attention has been shifted from the governors to the presidency. And I don't know why the system is still like that. And as a people, you are supposed to be looking at the government that is closest to you. The president has clearly said consistently that they have received more monies due to the removal of fuel subsidy, and more monies being available to the government, more monies have been disbursed to the states. And so we are supposed to be looking at what the state government is doing in terms of the more monies available to them, to cater to the people of the state, but we're not doing that. So one would have thought that, given that the Supreme Court has finally done the needful, which is giving financial autonomy to the local government, you will see something practically new. Some of the governors who are doing local government elections right now are actually new governors because of the 2023 elections. For instance, ENUGU State last year had its governor installed, still PDP, and it was another sham election, for crying out loud. I mean, if you look at the build-up to that particular election, even their internal democratic process was not even followed for the selection that they did, because for crying out loud, it wasn't a nomination like it's called from their political party. And so it dovetailed down, even places that it felt like some persons are going to have dissenting voices or vote for other political parties, they were threatened. They were beaten, in fact. Some persons were even stabbed. Our TV stations was even attacked.
Yes.
We were not the only station that was even attacked. There's another station in town, in ENUGU, that was attacked while they were covering some of the irregularities that was found within the localities, especially the ENUGU East. That's the Abapa area, the Nike Abapa axis. So it's so unfortunate that we haven't grown. We haven't really grown. It felt like 2019 and what we used to have in the past is a lot better than
what
we're actually having.
But let me ask, is it that these elections are coming as a spur of the moment so that you don't get caught up by the Supreme Court judgment?
Absolutely, that's what it is.
Then, if that is it, you now understand why you're having what you're having.
Yes.
So it's all about the money.
Absolutely. It's all about the money, so crying out loud. Imagine the amount of money that has been available. Say, for instance, if a state is receiving 500 million in a month, and state government money is around, 200 million, I mean, you wouldn't want to leave that extra 200 million. You want to go after it. And after all, you tell them where you had a local government election. And I think that Supreme Court should go beyond just talking about local government having its autonomy and then forcing governors to do a sham local government election. I think there should be, our laws should be a little bit tighter in the sense that that must be some measure of punishment if you do not carry out local government administration properly.
Yeah.
Over the years, we've seen governors decide what more amount of money that should be dished out to the local government, which is not supposed to be so. Local government should actually have its own resources, should actually have its own administration, like we have the state government, we have the state government, the deputy governor. We should have the local government chairman, the deputy chairman, and again the legislative body of the local government, and everything should work like a proper government working. But we haven't seen that happen. Go to several headquarters of local government areas and you will see you see plants and weeds growing in those areas, and it's so bad.
Yes, but probably because now they are gunning for the money, this narrative may change. Why would it change? Simply because right now there is this threat that if a local government chairman think that when they take over power, they will say hand over the money to the state government. It's not going to work
Mm-hmm.
because EFCC is going to be on their case. And there is this other financial intelligence unit that would also be on their case to track the money.
Right.
And if all that is put in place, you will begin to notice that probably in the next 6 months, you begin to find out that the councillors will be teaming up to impeach the chairman.
Well, I mean, as it says, you are supposed to be loyal to the governor. I mean, given the arrangement that has been put in place. If it was a transparent process from the stakeholders and the local government stakeholders, I mean, it would have been a lot better. You know that you are going there independently. But a situation where, you know, the governor is the one that calls you, you know, and invites you and say, look, I want to give this position, would you accept it? I mean, your loyalty is the first to the governor because it's the one that actually chose you.
Yes, but don't forget that even if your loyalty is to the governor, you still have a loyalty to your people. The people, I think we're missing the point. We think that if election is a charm, then you don't owe your people any service. We're missing that point. The only reason you wanted to contest, whether you were voted for or you were bulldozed into office, whatever terminology you want to use, you owe your people service.
Yeah, but it's not when it is at the whims and caprices of the governor. The governor decides what particular project you should embark on. The governor says, well, X, Y, Z amount is coming to your account, you have to bring it in. That was what happened throughout the last, you know, administration, like we have heard. Yeah. So it's just what it is. It's going to play out again. Like you mentioned, well, EFCC is going to monitor the money. You're going to you say that the Financial Intelligence Unit is going to follow the money. Really, I mean, do we have anybody who had worked in local government administration as chairman in the past who is under EFCC's investigation, like you know?
I like what you said. In the past, this is a new regime, and if it's going to be a new regime, can you even imagine that like a year ago, nobody knew that the federal government would go to court and get judgment in its favor to ensure that local government financial autonomy comes into play. In long ago, I can't remember the year exactly, the National Assembly wanted the 36 state houses of assembly to ensure that they had autonomy for themselves.
Absolutely.
And you won't believe that they turned it down.
They did. They did. I mean, but it is what it is. Those state houses of assembly are controlled by the governor. So the governor decides who becomes the speaker. The governor decides, they go to meet the governor to ask, please, who do you think should be the speaker? So the governor decides, okay, who is my closest pal, who's my friend, who can I work with better, beyond whatever it is that the state house of assembly can actually really do in terms of, you know, choosing who their leaders should actually be. So if the state governor says, make sure you do not go there to vote against this particular thing. I mean, it is what it is. Yes. I mean, if you decide to vote against the governor's will, just know that the next day you're not going to be the speaker anymore.
The conversations continue, but we are going to Imo State, where we'll meet some of the actors. Stay with us. We're back, and thank you very much for staying tuned. Well, when we went on break, I was just having this conversation with Charles that we were supposed to speak with Bright Offerum, who is the Publicity Secretary of Labour Party, and Duke Kajetan, who is the Publicity Secretary of APC. But guess what? Both of them are not picking their calls. So, Charles, is it fait accompli? We are here talking about an election that shouldn't be an election. And the actors that are supposed to speak about it are not responding to our calls after they agreed that they will be part of the conversation.
I wonder what you're expecting them to say when they decide to speak to you in that regard, really. I mean, what were you expecting them to say? To say, oh, well, the reason why we did not announce the result, the numbers, is because there were hitches, buses that they used, in transporting the materials maybe broke down on the road, or which one is it? Or are they going to tell us that, oh, well, you know what, there was no funds that was released for that particular election? Or what exactly are you going to hear them say? Because again, it's going to be, issues that are really mundane. I mean, you stated that these elections will be 21st of September, and you gave out a date. You never, for one day, had a meeting with stakeholders for that election. The Inter-Party Advisory Council of Nigeria, Imo State chapter, pulled out of that election, and you did not even release results sheets for that election to polling units. The ad hoc staff whom you had employed to actually carry out that particular election was not even, nobody knows their name. You did not even paste those who are on the voters register in different polling units as the law stipulated. You didn't release the voter register, even in your headquarters. Like, what is not wrong with that election?
Nothing. They made the rules. They broke the rules.
Goodness me.
But it's unfortunate that it's happening in 2024 when we thought we were going to improve over time. It is very sad, very, very sad. We had a conversation from somebody who called in during the election watch on Saturday, the Situation Room.
Okay.
And I was shocked when we were told that the elections in our local government area, all the elections will not be held anywhere else except at the local government headquarters. And we asked why, and they said because that's the only safe zone. So our question was very simple. So my polling unit is not safe. But I'll feel safe to travel several kilometers to the headquarters to cast my vote. The Nigerian Constitution talked about the safety of life and property as the #1 priority of government. So why are we turning everything upside down?
Barry, sometimes talking about these things gives me a lot of, anger. So sometimes I just tend to try to, manage it. I cringe when I hear some of these things. Whose job is it to protect the lives of people who are going to vote in Orlu local government area? Orlu local government area has been under serious threats in the last few years. In fact, since the governor took over office, we started hearing issues in Orlu. Orlu, a very huge local government, and in fact, he is from Axis. And I wonder what the problem is. What is so bad in that area that you cannot yourself walk in there and speak to the authorities, whether it is local chiefs, traditional rulers around that area, or even create some mechanism that makes collaboration easy for people to interface with security agencies in that area, or even establish a base there, a security base, in such a way that people will be able to interact with people, and so that this so-called thought about unknown gunmen, disappears. So how difficult is it to administer security for people whom you have actually sworn to serve in the period that you have been given this so-called mandate? How difficult is it?
Sometimes it is when they want it that way.
So they sponsor insecurity in an area and making sure that people don't get out, because if they do, they are going to maybe go against what the thoughts are. So make sure you don't come out, then use a few persons to thumbprint on those papers and then submit them to NSEC or to INEC to announce the result. And so it goes. The roller coaster keeps going. So it's going to be about the person with the largest number of money and then the largest strength when it comes to administering insecurity. If you have the largest dogs, you have the security in your hands, or better still, if you have people who can fight for you, who can fight vigorously, you know, or who can put you at bay, you know, put others at bay and scare them away, then those are the people you want to work with. So that's exactly where we found ourselves, especially as it relates to elections in Nigeria, and even the Edo State gubernatorial election that should be the one conducted by INEC still has the stench of irregularity, and then we wonder whether really we are headed forward or we're just static. Or
no, we're headed forward, because the truth is, very soon we would get to that point where we will know that enough is enough. You can't keep deceiving the people and think we're doing the right thing. Well, Charles, I just want to inform you that you mentioned that Anambra is going to the polls on Saturday, and our man Ndu Okpaleze. Hello, Ndu.
Hello.
Yes, Ndu Okpaleze, you're welcome. Ndu Okpaleze is our Bureau Chief in Anambra. How is Oka today?
Well, Oka is fine. Oka is looking better today.
I want to believe that you have been part of the conversation just watching us. And you will notice that the major issue is that the ENUGU and Imo elections showed a whole lot of unseriousness. I hope Anambra won't fall into the same pit.
Oh, well, for now, all I can say is that the few parties that agreed to be part of the election, we have about 9 parties that agreed to be part of the election. They are gearing up in their own various ways. But the noticeable thing is that APGA, the ruling party in the state, is all over the place. Just last Saturday, the governor presided over a mega rally in Dr. Ekweme Square here in Awka, where the chairmanship and councillorship candidates of the party, together with their supporters, converged on the place. And Awka knew that people came into town. It was a very big rally, unlike what you can say about the other parties. And apart from the rally, also the streets of major cities and even in the villages are adorned with posters of majorly APGA candidates, chairmanship and councillorship. On very few occasions you see PDP, you see Labour. Same thing with the electronic media campaigns. But I think they are squaring up with the social media. I don't know whether they are fighting shy of the whole thing or they feel that is the best way to go about it. The other parties are on the social media campaigning, but on the ground.
But where are the people they are campaigning? Where is the electorate?
Who?
You said we have 2 major platforms for campaigns. One is a rally ground, the other is on the social media. Where is the electorate?
The 2 major parties.
No. You did say there was this grand campaign, grand rally. Just follow me. Grand rally, led by the governor of Anambra State, Professor Charles Soludo, and you talked about some other parties campaigning on social media. And my question was, and where is the electorate? Because the essence of campaigns is to capture the hearts of the electorate.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, not that they're not at that at all. Only that they're not as, doing it with full chest as the ruling party is. They are doing it their own way. Maybe they have their own plans. Like I said, they are.
I think over 10 years, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, you're right.
So I'm wondering, how are people taking it? What are they telling you in terms of the return of local government administration or local government election in Anambra State?
Hello, did I get you well? So what they are telling me?
Yeah, what are people saying concerning the election? And
of course, people, they are enthusiastic about the whole show. They want the elections. They want elected officials at the grassroots level. If you go to the communities, all the communities, because every ward we have a councillor. So they're interested. They're interested more than some of the other parties, like I will say. The people are interested. They are listening and participating, asking their own questions. If you look at that social media thing I told you, I think it's working out well in a way, because the electorate are using that opportunity to ask people about what they are coming, to bring it on the table, to the table. What are they coming on board with regards to what they can do, in terms of representing them effectively. I think on that aspect, they are doing well.
Okay, the last time Southeast News spoke with Barrister Akrika of Labour Party, yes. That's the publicity secretary of Labour Party in Anambra State, he did say there were
National Association of People Living with Disabilities. They brought up their issue to make sure that they wouldn't have problems on the election day casting their votes. And ANSEC assured them that their problems will be taken care of in terms of placing the ballot boxes where they can easily be led to and they can cast their votes. Okay. So by tomorrow, I will still find out whether they will still have another meeting. I expect that they will have another meeting in terms of where they will, peace accord meeting, kind of, where they will sign
the peace accord.
That's what I'm expecting. But so far, they have not held another stakeholders meeting apart from that one they held before.
All right. Thank you very much, Ndo Okpaleze. That's our bureau chief in Anambra State. I am very sure you will keep us updated because Saturday is just around the corner. Charles Pius, thank you very much.
Thank you.
For making the conversation worth it.
Thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure. And thank you for watching. Barik Mado is my name. I'm saying tomorrow is another date on Southeast News.
leaders. And the right that you enjoy when you are 18 years and above. It implies that you have a say in who governs you, from your ward to local government to state and to the national level. The right to protest, conversely, is a right to say, even though we have elected, you're not doing well, resign, go away. So it's a fundamental right. But when citizens take that right beyond the realms of peaceful protests, when it snowballs into destruction, mayhem, as we are witnessing some parts of Nigeria today, it threatens democracy. Democracy is a beautiful thing when well practiced. But when you take it too far, then of course, national stability is challenged. And of course, national security is threatened. So this evening, I'm being joined by Friday Okechukwu, PhD, he's Associate Prof, and PG Coordinator, Faculty of Law, Godfrey Okere University, here in ENUGU. Prof, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
We'll be looking at the issue of protests, democracy, and of course, national security.
Okay.
Of course, in the past, since the 1st of August, Nigeria has witnessed an unprecedented, so to speak, protests. However, there seems to be a divide. The North will appear to be very, very obsessive with the protests. The South would appear, apart from Lagos, the South would appear to be relatively peaceful. The Southeast is actually sleeping. Prof, what's your analysis of all these? Today is the 6th. So 6 days counting.
Yeah.
Can you give us your best eye view of what has been?
Yeah, let me pick the gauntlet, from your intro. You already laid the foundation. Protest is a fundamental right wherein citizens, express their opinion on governance since they do not have a parliament, So it's a constitutional right, and it's so in all civilized world, particularly in the Commonwealth, and the rest of the world. Today is the 5th day running, or the 6th day into the protest. And in the North, there has been a spectre of, demonstration here and there, some of them snowballing into, tampering of properties and all that. My view with respect to security, well, the truth is that some of us knew that the protest may take these dimensions, so to say, but the protest was inevitable. That's my sincere opinion, because from May 29th, 2023, up until now, Nigeria and Nigerians have witnessed, a great turmoil, in the cost of living and all that. So naturally, citizens are bound to react. Let's call it spade, and I want to do that. That's on one side. On the other side, on the issue of protest and security, my opinion is that the government should have been much more ready than appear they are, because the protesters actually gave what in law we call pre-action notice. When you want to take somebody to court, you come and inform him. In some instance, like, I'll be taking you to court. So there is this pre-action notice also. I expected the government to be much prepared, because the government, whether the state, federal, even local government, they have the wherewithal, the arsenal, the military, the police, and all that, to ensure that the protest was peaceful. That's what is done in civilized clime. Once there is going to be a protest, then the state should bring its arsenal to make sure that law and order are not broken down. There is no two way about it. It's not only here. Even in advanced economy, you have protests, taking this type of dimension. But the government must try as much as possible to curtail it. And this brings in the issue of how do we strike a balance? Because managing protests is actually, for me and for most people, the very litmus test of government and governance. Governance is your ability to secure peace, order, and tranquility. if you see what's happening in the north, a couple of persons have been killed. As much as those some of those protesters have gone a little overboard, but I wouldn't take kindly to human life being lost under the guise that the states, the government, want to quell protest. It is the duty of government to make sure that protesters do not run amok. And when they do, minimal force must be used, must be deployed. I do not subscribe to instances where the police fire live bullets into crowd of protesters. Nobody, anywhere in the world, nobody will support that. That's the truth.
Prof, the northern part of Nigeria, Kaduna, Kano, Gombe, Bauchi, part of Katsina,
yes,
would seem to be extremely violent. Some people are insinuating that beyond protests, there are some shadow factors. And perhaps there may be shadow personalities that may have influenced in more ways than one the violence. You see what happened in Kaduna.
Okay.
You see even the way they mounted the armored.
Yes, and took over the armored vehicle and
all that.
Yeah.
So beyond protest, do you think that this kind of underlying political current in the north, perhaps if you go to Kano, the battle of emirs, who is that, and other undercurrent issues, or have you looked at the issue of these Ali Majeris who have been trained over time, because these guys are not afraid of bullets. So beyond protest, don't think that some other factors have actually infiltrated that.
Dr. Anugu, you know why I'm laughing.
No, I don't know. I'm not in your mind.
There's this Yoruba proverb that says that if the hair in the head still contains lies, which the Igbo call ENUGU, blood stain will continue to be on the nails, on the fingernails.
Yeah, because you keep on trying to extract some.
Yeah, so there's a cause and effect. In philosophy, in logic, there's what we call cause and effect.
Okay.
Your question is a very good one, an intelligible one, I must say. Now, but how do I situate it within the context of that proverb? Before now, we've had the issue of Boko Haram in the north. There has been, across West Africa sub-region, there's proliferation of light weapons and the rest in the Sahel, across the Boko Haram territory, into Mali and all that. There has been people moving in and out and all that. And so now, basically, before now, that area is charged. There's insurgency in the northeast, in the northwest, and all that. So now it's a matter of what some people call you are having lightning or thunder. Then some people are throwing bomb into the lightning. The whole thing will be booming and all that. So if you say there's another current, I say yes. But why I laughed is the fact that it still boils down to the doorstep of government. If you talk about security or insecurity, you are directly putting the government, and correctly too, you are directly putting the government right in the middle of the equation. The issue of the Almanjeris, which you mentioned, has been on as old as the North. And a lot of scholars have been saying this, that nowhere in the world, except in Nigeria, do you have a sea of street urchins, and you call them scholars. People who are faceless, who don't have means of life, who are less vagabond and all that. So many factors come together in physics. We call something centrifugal and centripetal forces.
Yes.
Center and they come together, and they are helping to fuel the situation. So if you say, not that even if you say, it's a fact that in the north, the surrounding countries, Sudan, Nigeria, and all the rest, our borders are porous. And if the border is porous, then it goes to the issue of governance and government. So what this protest clearly brings out are, like Riley put it, some undercurrent of problems which we did not fix. And that was why I brought back I brought in the proverb of, if you have lies in your head, the blood stain will continue to be, on your fingernails. So it's an integral. It's a complete whole number, one factor leading to the other, cause and effect. So I'm not surprised. I'm not at all.
Conflict management styles. The ability to manage conflict.
Yes.
Is a hallmark of leadership.
Absolutely. Yeah.
If you're a leader and you've enjoyed relative peace and you've never had conflict, you can beat your chest and say, I am truly a leader.
That's true.
Even in our homes.
That's true.
Even in where we work.
That's true.
It's when you encounter violent disagreement, strong disagreement, opposing views, opposing ideas, a condemnation of your actions by another, your ability to navigate that makes you a better leader.
Very true.
Let's look at the northern part of Nigeria and the southern part of Nigeria.
Okay.
Their governors. There was an attempt by the governor, not the attempt, the governor of Lagos engaged a day before the protests. If you look at what happened in Bayelsa, the governor of Bayelsa had been engaging. Here in ENUGU, you began early to talk about talking with government people. There's no need for that. Or unless they came in, and all that. And so, I want you to look at whether government. Yeah.
No serious protest. Now, this is a fact. This is borne out from the last general election.
You think so?
Yes, and an event even before the election. Before the election, that's the election that produced the present, federal government of Nigeria. A lot of Igbo voters were actually traumatized. I mean, it's on social media, it's newspaper and all that. People are not allowed to. The Igbos were not allowed to vote. Freely. A lot of them were harassed, intimidated, wounded, and all that. And so, generally, the Igbos feel that the outcome of this election that produced the present federal government did not reflect, the voting pattern generally. So, don't forget the fact that even before then, before the election, a lot of tantrums, shade have been thrown at the Igbos. So the Igbos are saying that, look, no, we didn't really vote this man in, and that's one. And two, we don't want to join this protest, because if we do, I mean, you eventually say it's an Igbo man protest. It was the Igbo man who fueled it and all that. There will be looting and all that and all that. So the Igbo man will bear the boss. So we don't want to engage in this. I mean, you guys could just have this breakfast that you serve yourself. I mean, just as Nigerians would say, allow me just stay jeje. So that was why I said that the Igbo man's silence and non-participation is actually, in a sense, an active participation. That's that. For the North, a different kettle of fish. The North, for a very long time, have been enjoying some people, other regions have not been enjoying. Yeah. And so, given this present shake-up in the standard of living, okay, they can't take it. So they're actually annoyed and angry. If a lot of them feel that this government is their government. But there's something with the forces in the market. The rich man goes to the market and buy a pig, a tin of milk for X naira. The poor man go there too and buy the same. So when it comes to prices of commodity, it does not discriminate against the rich or the poor. So in the North, hunger is biting. It's biting all over the country. But for the Easterners, they've already made up their mind that come what may, we are going to bear it. It's like you are expecting something and your expectation is cut short. Naturally, if you don't have self-restraint, you would erupt. And another factor you mentioned the other time, which is a very fundamental factor, I know the North well, is the issue of the Almongeries. Okay. The Almongeries are a sea of faceless street urchins who do not have much Western education. And I'm not saying that they need to have Western education to really function well, but you also mentioned the issue of, culture. Culture to a large extent, contain norms that restrict, and sanitize our behavior, So that's a bit not too profound in the North with the Almongeries. So, as one of my funny friends will say the Almongeries only understand go.
They don't know how to come back.
So once you allow them to be on the street, I mean, you have a sea of street urchins, unbridled.
Okay. The federal government agencies, the police, and other sister agencies,
yes, sir,
they received a heavy knock. In fact, knocks from Nigerians.
yeah,
Not only in the manner with which they handled the protest, but in the lives that have been lost. But others still say, look, they've been so sufficiently provoked that, well, they've been able to behave within the ethics of professionalism. What's your take?
That's a lie. And I say this most sincerely. Let me take you back to NSAS. That was in 2020 in Lagos. After the NSAS, there were allegations that life were lost and all that. Till today, some people still say that no life was lost. But the committee that was set up by the government, by the Lagos State government, came down and said that this NSAS, the quelling of NSAS, resulted in a massacre. I don't know if you know that. They said that it was actually a massacre. The world press actually agreed that it was a massacre. So, given what happened in 2020 and what is presently happening, if you ask me to score Nigerian military, the police, and the sister agency, if I'm to rate them from 1 on the scale of 1 to 10 with respect to quelling and managing riots or protests or whatever, I would give them 1 over 10.
That's quite low.
Yes, because actually that's what it is. You see, what we have in Africa, to a large extent, most African states, are rulers, not leaders. Our rulers see themselves as monarchs. You see, if you are a monarch, if you are an Oba, or you are an Emir, or you are an Igwe, you don't see power as flowing from the people. You see power from sources other than the people. So in your head, you have an entitlement mentality that, look, these people are actually provoking me. But democracy is not monarchy. Like you rightly said the other time, you said, if even in the home we have, people disagreeing and all that, but your ability to manage it, to navigate it with very minimal, minimal violence is actually the hallmark of leadership or the test of leadership. And I agree. How would a policeman or policemen fire live bullets at unprotected civilians who are not armed with arms? The most they are armed with stones. The question I'll ask is, if you have 500 protesters and you have like 20 policemen, and if those protesters were actually armed with AK-47, you think the police will fire their bullet like that? I once asked a soldier somewhere in Anambra during one of these turbulent days. We came down from a vehicle upon the other. I said we should put up our hands in the air. I did. But my hand was midway like this. He came and started shouting, I will shoot, I will do this. I asked him, I said, if I were armed with AK-47, would you approach me and be saying you will shoot? He stopped and looked at me. His boss came over. And I told him, said, if I were armed with AK-47 and you were armed and both of us are men, would you approach me the way you approached me? You approach me because, like China Achebe said, it's the story of the hunter and the hunted. Yeah. Good. It's because you are carrying live bullets. It's not as if you are necessarily more powerful. If I am armed and you don't know whether I'm trained, you won't approach me. So to approach civilians who are not armed with live bullets, nobody will support it anywhere in the world. It doesn't make sense. It's like your own dog that you went to hunting with suddenly turn against you. Those guns are bought with the people's money, with commonwealth. So I agree that protesters sometimes run amok, they could, vandalize and all that. But that is not an excuse to open fire, live bullets, at unarmed people. And no. Nowhere in the world would you argue that.
Prof, you must understand that no head of a military agency would give an authority to shoot protesters. It's like the story they tell about armed robbery. Sometimes they go to do a robbery and they say, look, no blood. And that is understood. But the call of duty, something may happen, as one of them may be endangered, and he may eventually shoot. When they go back, they say, why did you do that? We agreed. He said, but we're getting caught. Now, They were caught injunctions. You're a lawyer. They were caught injunctions. Ogun, Lagos, and Abuja, designating certain areas for the protest. In Abuja, for example, they left the National Stadium and said they were heading to another venue. And that's where they had an encounter. In Lagos, where they moved from the bridge straight to the Ojota, the Ghanaian Mint Park, there were no shooting. So, why you cannot justify that? Does that attitude indicate peaceful protest?
You know why I'm laughing?
You continue laughing.
I'll say this, a lot of people will not like it.
This is a serious matter.
A lot of people will not like it. Some
Yeah.
lawyers will not like it, some judges will not like it.
That's why it's a common conversation.
Good. But let me tell you, emanating from last year's election, the 2023 general election, a lot of people, particularly youth, have lost faith in the Nigerian judiciary. Oh, I said this and I beat my chest. That's the truth. A lot of Nigerians do not have trust. They don't have confidence in our courts. It's obvious. And the reasons are, the reasons are so obvious, so apparent. That's one. Then two, people are talking of protests. The fact that to eke out a living in Nigeria is so much a problem. And you think reasonably, I'm a man of reason and logic. And you want to say, okay, if you want to protest, so this is the designated area and all that. I know. I'm not saying the court didn't give that order, but I'm looking at how practicable those orders are. With all sense of respect and regard to the court and the judges and all that. But I feel that that order is a tall one.
Okay.
It's a tall one. That's one. Then two, you raised an issue. It's in criminal law. Incidentally, I teach criminal law. No. There's what is called the defense of self-defense, which is whether you are in the armed forces or you are a civilian or whatever, once somebody approaches you with mayhem or violence or whatever, the law allows you to use something proportional to ward it off.
Okay.
Yes. And that's why there is in fact, the defense of self-defense is a total defense, such that if it is established, it could even exculpate somebody of murder. I'm not talking of provocation now, I'm talking of self-defense.
Self-defense.
For example, if you pull a gun at me.
Or you push me to the wall and I can't break the wall.
Good.
I have to break you.
You have to react. But in self-defense, one factor is important. And it is important in anywhere in the world where that defense is available. There's what is called the proportionality. You don't kill a fly with a sledgehammer. Neither do you go after a fly with the barrel of a gun. So it will be wrong in criminal law. It do not amount to self-defense if somebody slaps me and I pull a gun. And that is why the question will be, these civilians, if they attacked you, what did they attack you with? Sticks? Stones?
Clubs.
But you are carrying firearms. Firearms is given a distinct, statutory definition in the criminal code under armed robbery. And that's why it is called firearms. It's a special because it is lethal. It will either bring death or grievous bodily harm. So the issue of professionalism, if I'm a policeman, I say these people attacked me. The question is, attacked you with what?
Yeah.
And that was why I asked the question that I asked that man. If I were armed with AK-47, would you come with this your rifle and say, put up your hand or shut up? You won't. You'll be strategizing. I also be strategizing. It will be weapon to weapon. But when you try to quell riot with live ammunition, with people who are carrying sticks and metal and all that, there's what is called disproportionality. So the issue of that they were attacked, the question that will readily comes anywhere in the world is, attack with what? The armed forces and the police are trained to handle weapons. So it still boils down to the issue of that government has not been able to manage this crisis. And the test of governance is in management of crisis, not in sitting in parliament and drinking tea and pumping handshaking to one another. No. I remember when Thatcher I think it was Thatcher. Margaret Thatcher was Prime Minister in Britain, who I can't remember precisely. Somebody from the crowd took an egg and stoned her.
Somebody even slapped the French Prime Minister.
Yes.
Somebody even threw shoes at George Bush.
It happens.
Okay, Prof, you hold your thoughts. We'll just go on a short break. When we come back, I have several issues to raise. One is a look at the speech by Mr. President.
Okay.
The other would be a call for military intervention. The other would be the waving of flags in the north and all that. So don't go away. We'll be back very shortly. You are still watching Uncommon Conversations on Signature Television. And of course, my guest is still Associate Professor Ilo. Prof, before we went on that short break, I was raising the issue of Mr. President's State of the Nation address.
Okay.
Prior and during the early days of the protest, many Nigerians were worried. It was a grave concern that the president had not spoken, has not addressed the nation. They felt it was undemocratic, that a major crisis was brewing. We are forewarned, more than a month's notice. Even on the eve of that, you couldn't address the nation. You couldn't engage those people. You literally ignored them. So several calls were made. Mr. President talk. He was speaking through his
aides.
And people say, look, we didn't elect these people. we didn't vote for them. We need to hear from you. The buck stops on your table.
That's true.
The demands can only be met by you. And then after a couple of days, 3 or 4 days after, the president rose up 2 days ago, as it were.
Yes.
And made his speech. Since then, even his man who had trusted him, Wole Soyinka, said that was Bangladesh. A lot of people said, look, it was nothing. And so, how do you situate Mr. President's speech?
Yeah, first, the president was not proactive because, expectedly, he ought to have had that speech, something better than that speech, before he did. Like you rightly said, I said these people actually gave pre-action notice of the protest, so he wasn't really caught pants down. So, by logic or by rationality, he ought to have, addressed a state of the nation. In Senate climb, the president would have, by way of speech, profound speech that would touch on the issue on the ground, not speech for the mere sake of, I want to present a speech. If you check American history, for instance, at very great crossroad, Americans have always had statesmen, presidents, whose speech actually touch the issue on ground and to a large extent douse the tension in the land. So to start with, that speech was belated. Then 2, that speech did not touch the real issue, that is the angst of the protesters. There is for me, for want of language, I see that speech as official window dressing. In fact, a colleague of mine, a lawyer too, in one of the fora that I am, said that this will be the president's speech. He will say this, he will say this. It was as if the guy saw the speech before that time. But he didn't. It was just an intelligible reading of the posture of Mr. President. And so aside from the speech being belated, the speech was wide off the issue. And so it was like there was no speech.
Okay, there's a greater issue, and it speaks to national security.
Okay.
They call them faceless, but they may not be anonymous. This is the age of technology.
That's true.
A group of, for want of a better word, faceless people in Lagos or elsewhere, wherever they are, has threatened and actually said that the Igbo living in Lagos, they have 1 month to leave Lagos. And that is why protests, democracy, and national security, what started as a protest, hunger protest, protests to end bad governance, is now snowballing into ethnic profiling. The Igbo proudly is in every part of Nigeria. If you count the original inhabitants, the original owners of the land, the next most dominant people would be the Igbo. They have invested so much in the development of Lagos. And now this threat may appear. Of course, you remember the happenings of the 1966, the pogrom and all that. Now, even though the governor of Lagos has spoken to say no, but that is government. They have not brought to bear, they have not brought to book. They say they're investigating those who said that. You can trace them. Now, the governors of the Southeast, correct me if I'm wrong, I've not had one governor who has so vehemently spoken against it, or have even taken an action by visiting the Lagos State governor to say, look, my people are here. You have a duty as a governor to protect them. It's not mere in platitudes speaking. Give me your own analysis of what you think that portends for our nation, and how best you think the Lagos State government, the federal, and governors of the Southeast should look at that matter.
Okay. Let me come proverbially. There's this African proverb. Somebody saw a load carrier and said, your load is bent. The carrier replied, well, it's not actually that the load is bent. You're actually not looking down. You're only looking up towards the load. This load is bent because if you look beneath the load, that is my legs, you will see that my leg is bent.
That's a great one.
Now, we have constraint of time on this program. You see, this question you just asked is a large visitor of our political history, and it's an untoward one. But let me try quickly to put it in the perspective of time. I think it was in 2019, the President Oba of Lagos, Akiolu, I think it was, it was an election time.
Yes.
Akiolu read the handwriting somehow that the Igbos were going to vote against his candidates for the governorship. And Akiolu, without let or hindrance, without minding anybody's feelings, without minding whose horse is God, in broad daylight, clearly, unambiguously, eloquently, said that if the Igbos vote contrary to his, to the choice of his candidature, they will be sunk in the sea.
And what happened until date?
Now, nobody called Akiolu to order. I said it on many fora, that in decent society, in a society where humanity and humaneness run through the gamut of that society, Akiolu will be called to order. He will be held responsible for that statement. Nothing was done. As a matter of fact, in my group, my undergraduate group, you know, Southwest, high school in Southwest and other, some people are trying to defend. I told them, what you are saying is, I don't want to use negative words on air. Say, in real society, nobody says that in the federal state and gets away with it.
Okay.
As at that time, I told them, even though such has been happening before then, that this thing Akiolu said, and nobody according to order, it is the John the Baptist of greater evil to come. And I was right. Now, during this last election, Igbos were vilified, victimized, maligned, all manner of injustices, and nobody was called to order. People were slapped, harassed, called names, ethnic profiling, and nothing happened. The Lagos government did not say anything. Nobody said anything. Nobody was brought to book. And that was why I told you that the Nigerian youth, when our court issue orders, they look at them and laugh. Society is an integrum. Once a part is maltreated or treated badly and you don't fix it, it's a matter of his teaching time, save 9. In fact, save 90. Once you don't check it out, you don't checkmate it, it will infiltrate all other parts. So what is happening in Lagos now about the ethnic profiling never started today. Okay. It dates back pre the Civil War. And that was why Shoyinka said some time ago that what caused the Civil War is still much around with us, and that is true. So this ethnic profiling, including calling out the Oro and all those, they are all just, it is a symptom of how sick, probably redeemably sick our society is. In decent society, nobody does that. And this also goes to our religious leaders. The religious leader will come up and tell us that our problem is that our sins are too much. These same religious leaders are not calling their congregants, who are some of these politicians, who are some of these obas, saying all this. So the issue of ethnic profiling is actually at the very root and the bane of Nigerian politics.
So what should the governors of Southeast do?
Now,
or what they have not done?
The Southeastern governors are even worse off than those vilifying their people.
How? What do you mean?
Yeah, I mean, one does not need to be a professor to understand this. And I know you only put in my legs. But I'll tell you my mind.
Okay.
You see, the Igbos have a proverb that if you call your God G-O-U-R-D, the one they call Oba, and if you call it this Oba is a broken one, people would kick it with their foot. The Yorubas have also a corresponding proverb. They will tell you, if you call your Oba a broken one, people will use it to, pack debts. So, now if outsiders defied the Igbos and their leaders kept quiet, I mean, you can imagine, more trouble would come. And the Eastern governors are keeping quiet for political reasons. Selfish political reasons. A lot of people will not like this, but I'll say it though. Because they don't want to identify with their people. I'll give you one instance. A former governor of the Southeast, who is now a minister, is trying to be maverick. He said recently, about 2 days ago, I read it, I saw it on social media. Yeah, that is thanking the Southeasterners. That the Southeasterners did not come out, did not protest, because the federal government had done so much for them. Really?
He said those?
He said that. But that's an example of the mindset of the governors of the Southeast. Of course, he knows that that's not the truth, but he's trying to give the narrative a convoluted meaning. So in serious-minded climb, you can't do this to the Northerners. You will see their governor come out. And there's a Southeastern Governor Forum here, isn't it?
There's even an Southeast Governors Forum.
Good. But they wouldn't discuss that. I don't know if Ohaneze has said anything about it.
Well, I'm not sure I've heard. But okay, let's move on because our time is actually galloping.
Okay.
There's this other flip side to all these protests. In the north, Kaduna, Kano, and this rest, they've made bold to ask for call for military intervention. Even though the CDS, General Christopher Musa, has spoken eloquently against that, what does that signify? What does that signify?
Let me also take you about, a bit back. Though it's not on all fours with what you're saying, but there's something close, something tangentially, marginally. During Goodluck Ebele Jonathan presidency, when he, canvassed for votes for his second tenure, which he didn't get, a lot of people were saying, anybody but Jonathan. I don't know whether you remember that it was live.
Yeah.
Anybody but Jonathan. Now, in a period like this, especially in a multi-faceted state like Nigeria, multi-tribal and all that. Now, one of our biggest problems is tribal politics in Nigeria. And that's why, for me, I tell people that this our federalism is not really working. Because it's not true federalism. Now, the North, before now, have always enjoyed, to a large extent, unbridled opportunity into the largesse of power.
Yep.
Now, with Tinubu coming, a lot of this thing has stopped. In terms of, living standard is high in Nigeria and all that. So, for them, anything that will bring back the glorious days, and they know that with the military, to a very large extent, is in the hand of the North. In fact, for the most time that military regime lasted in Nigeria, about 39-40 years before 1999, most of the head of states were from the North. So it's like a he-goat head falling into he-goat back. So if it is this military that would give us what we want, I mean, so be it. So be it. And that tells us again, and I said it in the other time, that democracy is a dialogue, it's not monarchy. If the government had not pushed people to this extent, to this world, we won't be having these reactions. And in your intro, you asked the question, why is the government afraid of protests? Yeah. And I can tell you, see, protests is in mathematics, you have equations, you have fixed factors, you have variables. Now, how the variable operates is dependent on the fixed factors. If I say 3x plus 5 is equal to 10x, find x. The value of x will depend on those 3 and 5 and all that. Now protest is a variable. You never can be too sure the dimension it will take. I'm serious. No matter how prudent, no matter how foresighted, no matter how proactive you are as a president. And that is why it makes more sense not to allow the situation fester and bring about protest. Because even in advanced economy, you may not be able to manage it totally. It has branches. It could become unbridled. That's the truth. So if I were the president, I will try the much I can to make sure that the situation won't even get to this extent.
It will not get to this extent, but there's also another angle. And people are worried. Even Professor Akinterenwa had also made a comment to this. This unbridled waving of the Russian flag. Those in government have said it is treasonable. I don't know how treasonable it is. I'm not a lawyer. You are one. What constitutes treason? But that's not the issue. The issue is that there's this insinuation that majority of this flag waving people are not Nigerians. They're from Niger. They're Nigerians. And so it speaks to the issue. Are they getting back to Tinubu for leading the ECOWAS to impose sanctions on their military junta? It is an attempt to spread military interventions in Africa's most populous country? Or it is actually a genuine effort by Putin to, of course, have a foot
in the Sahel,
and then in Nigeria? These are trouble issues.
Yes.
But please take them head on.
You know why I laugh again?
No, I don't know.
Okay, it still boils down to the issue. You know, your intro, you made a very wonderful intro, and I'm impressed. When you said that, yeah, undercurrents. Yeah, it's very important.
Shadow factors.
Good.
Shadow people.
The Igbo will say that, yes. Things do not just happen. They happen for a reason.
Yes.
And that's true. Now, there are already problems in the Sahel. Insurgency. Some people are even, there are allegations that there are international players funding insurgency, armed running, and all that. But above that, for me, the question is, how efficacious is the government in manning our borders? There's this Yoruba proverb that says that erosion does not care whether there is road or no road. Yeah. It will go anywhere. But it is the owner of the house that will tell erosion, no, you don't have to pass here. He will create a gutter for it. Now, that's the way international politics is. From the days of Noah till now, till tomorrow, the world is in a continuous struggle. Country trying to undermine the other, yet trying to be, they try to preach peace. That's what is called diplomacy. In all honesty, diplomacy is about international lying and packaging it to look as the truth. So if people are saying that yes, foreigners want to infiltrate Nigeria, that's very possible. The international template, politics, world country, that's the way it is. So it is left for each country to man her border well. And when I mean well, deploying it military, deploying technology. I will shock you. Somebody was laid off from the police force, Nigerian police force, somewhere in the north. He came to this east and re-entered the police.
Just like that?
Yes. And was getting salary.
Has he been caught?
Now, then there was...
Has he been caught?
No. There was going to be an, they want to look into people's record and all that. He heard about it and quietly petered out. Now, this is just within a country. I'm just telling you. And so, in serious-minded country, you can't get into their border without them knowing. So, the issue of some people are coming in or not is an indictment on us, on our government. And that goes back to what I told you.
The most part of the northern states are borderless.
Good. In fact, one
of
our senators, one of the leaders in the north once said it, that why would people from Niger and all the rest not be allowed to take the NIN and all that? Yes. Remember when we shot the border between Niger and the North were vehement. People were saying that Tinubu did that because they were not sharing border with the Southwest. So for them, the North is borderless. And that's a serious issue. The truth is that a Fulani man in Niger and the one in Sudan and the one in Nigeria, as far as they are concerned, they are Fulani. And there are no borders. A lot of them, with all sense of respect, owe allegiance to the Fulani race than to their respective country. So this is a question that borders on national security. And we are taking it with levity. So if your door is porous, you wouldn't blame a rat for coming in, dog for coming in, and somebody come and... It's like that. Only that this protest has precipitated already existing problem, which has not been attended to. And that was why I said that your intro was a beautiful one. There's an undercurrent. But there's an undercurrent because government did not do what it ought to do. Don't forget, a stitch in time does not only save 9, it saves 90.
Okay, I'm giving you the last question because we actually have done almost our time. Now, we've been able to establish the legitimacy of protests.
Okay.
We'll be able to establish how it affects democracy positively and how it can also negatively affect democracy. But interestingly, when taken too far, it can threaten national security. And we've just been able to discuss to what extent that could be happen. The big question is, government, what must they do now? To correct the situation, bring it under control, or if they like, to escalate it. Maybe I have 3 minutes for this.
All right. Yes, we have established that protest is legitimate. It's a legitimate aspiration. It's a constitutional right and all that. Now the protest is on. It's still ongoing. Now, government wouldn't fold its hands. I mean, I'm not saying that. But government need to act within the confine of the law and within the confine of reasonableness.
It has called for dialogue, for example.
Good. Now, if you call for dialogue, beautiful. But it has to be very sincere with dialogue. It has to address the issue. And this takes us back to the president's speech. I told you that that speech, at best, at most, is a bag of vapor. It's a bag of nothingness. Nothingness in the sense that it did not address the issue at stake. For instance, it didn't address the issue of fuel price. So, because it did,
he said that they can't, the subsidy continues. They can't bring back the subsidy. So he's addressed it, but he didn't meet the expectations of Nigerians.
Well, by logic, if he says the subsidy will continue and prices will continue to soar high, you see, this protest is not just protest. It is hunger that is protesting. Okay. So hunger does not listen to empty verbose. You have to meet it with food. So the government, you know, you are saying,
yeah, what must just the government do?
Good. Government must put measures, and I mean tangible measures, that will speak to issue of hardship, fuel prices, food. A hungry man, if not fed, will be perpetually angry.
I want to leave that. I want to go away with that. A hungry man, if
not fed,
will be perpetually
angry.
Yes, and I want to thank you very much, Associate Professor Ilo, for finding time to be here.
You're welcome, sir.
Of course, this is your first time on Signature Television and
Very
our common
true,
conversations.
I'm
definitely it will be the last.
Sure,
because
sir.
you've raised several issues that we could latch on in subsequent conversations. So thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir.
And to have you just watched and listened to my friend, Associate Professor Ilo, who actually is the coordinator, postgraduate coordinator, Faculty of Law, Godfrey University. Join us same time tomorrow for yet another Uncommon Conversations here on Signature Television. Thank you and good evening.
Welcome to Signature TV News. I am Barry Kumo Ado. In the headlines, Speaker Abbas says outcome of Edo governorship election reflects the voice of the people. NIMET predicts 3 days of nationwide thunderstorms. Police in South Africa arrest drug mule with suspected cocaine bullets in stomach. And centrist Barrett takes over French Foreign Ministry. Details shortly. The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Abbas Tajuddin, has congratulated Senator Monday Okpebholo, the candidate of the All Progressives Congress, APC, in the governorship election held in Edo State, on his victory at the polls. The Independent National Electoral Commission on Sunday night declared Senator Okpebholo winner of the election. A statement by the Special Advisor on Media and Publicity to the Speaker, Musa Krishi, says the outcome of the election reflects the voice of Edo people. Speaker equally congratulated the Deputy Governor-elect, Dennis Idahosa, a member of the House, on the victory. Speaker Abbas noted both Governor-elect and the Deputy Governor-elect are 7 members of the National Assembly, said more parliamentarians are now holding significant stakes in politics and governance in Nigeria. Therefore urged the duo to work together for the common good of Edo people, adding that they should remain good ambassadors of the National Assembly. While urging Senator Okpebholo to be magnanimous in victory and extend hand of fellowship to his opponents, the Speaker called for calm in the state, saying the outcome of the poll is the will of the people. Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has extended his congratulations to Senator Monday Okpebholo, the All Progressives Congress candidate, following his victory in the Edo State gubernatorial election held on Saturday. The Independent National Electoral Commission declared him the winner after defeating his main challengers, Asu Ighodalo of the People's Democratic Party and Olumide Akpata of the Labour Party. In a statement issued by Special Advisor on Media and Publicity, Boyega Akoshile, on Monday, Sanwo-Olu hailed the outcome as a landslide victory for the APC. Described the result as a testament to the party's continued dominance across Nigeria at various levels of government. Sanwo-Olu further expressed confidence that the APC administration in Edo will surpass the expectations of the electorate, ushering in what he described as a breath of fresh air for the state. In a similar development, the People's Democratic Party has kicked against the result of Saturday's governorship election in Edo State, which ushered in the All Progressives Congress candidate, Senator Monday Okpebholo, as the new governor of the state. Adamawa State Governor Amadu Fintiri, who is the chairman of the Edo State Governorship Election National Campaign Council, on Sunday said that the Independent National Electoral Commission should be held accountable for violating the Electoral Act. Okpebholo polled 291,667 votes to defeat PDP's Asu Ighodalo, who came second with 247,274 votes. The Labour Party's Olumide Akpata were made third with 22,763 votes. Of the 18 local government areas in the state, the APC won 10, while the PDP settled for 8. But the PDP, in solidarity with its Governors Forum, insisted that Ighodalo clearly won the election. Vice President Kashim Shettima has arrived in New York to represent Nigeria at the 79th United Nations General Assembly. Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Communications, Stanley Nkwocha, made this known in a statement on Monday. According to Nkwocha, Shettima touched down at John F. Kennedy International Airport, New York, in the early hours of Monday. Said that on arrival, the Vice President was received by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Yusuf Tagat, and the Minister of Communications, Innovation, and Digital Economy, Dr. Bosum Tijani. Others by the Director General of the National Information Technology Development Agency, Kashifu Inua, Nigerian diplomats, UN officials, and many others. The 79th session of UNGA marks a crucial milestone in a global effort to accelerate progress towards the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. A federal high court, Abuja, on Monday, dismissed the suit seeking the removal of Abdullahi Ganduje as the All Progressive Congress APC National Chairman. Justice ENUGU, in his judgment, dismissed the suit on the ground that the plaintiff, North Central APC Forum, led by Alhaji Saleh Zazaga, had no local standing to have instituted the suit. Justice Ekwo, who held that no credible evidence was presented before the court to show that the group was registered with a corporate vow to appeal the judgment. The Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria has revealed that its members will be meeting with Dangote Refinery this week over the direct lifting of premium motor spirit petrol and its price reduction. Spokesperson of IMAN, Chinedu Kadeke, disclosed this in a recent statement, explained that the members are optimistic about commencing the direct lifting of Dangote petrol soon. According to him, adequate distribution of petrol has remained an enigma in the country's oil and gas sector, even after the commencement of Dangote petrol distribution. This comment comes as the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited retail outlets and other independent filling stations sell petrol between $9.50 and $1,100 after the lifting of Dangote fuel. Students and staff members of the Federal University Gusau in Zamfara State were kidnapped by bandits and regained their freedom after 7 months in captivity. Security analyst and counterinsurgency expert Zaga Zola Makama confirmed the release in a report via X on Monday. The victims were reportedly kidnapped during an attack in Gusau area in February this year. However, Zaga Zola did not further explain the circumstances behind their release and whether or not a ransom was paid. He added that security forces were said to have played a crucial role in their rescue. Up ahead, U.S. provides assistance to victims of Borno flood. Police under fire as car crash kills 3 on Lagos-Lekki Bridge. These and more after the break. The United States Agency for International Development is providing assistance to the affected victims of a devastating Maiduguri flood through United Nations agencies and its implementing partners. International Organization for Migration, IOM, is using an initial $3 million in USAID funding to address flood needs across the country. This was disclosed in a statement released by the U.S. government and made available to the media on Monday. Said that through the World Food Program, USAID is providing hot meal rations in 4 camps, hosting internally displaced persons, and had reached more than 67,000 individuals in the past days. The statement also noted that the WFP also is providing emergency nutrition assistance to pregnant and lactating women, including children under 5 years old. At a teachers' village camp for the internally displaced persons in Nigeria's northeastern city of Maiduguri, relief efforts are underway with bags of rice and cartons of pasta being distributed to families affected by the devastating floods. Floods in Maiduguri started on September 10 after a dam burst its walls following heavy rainfall and affecting over 1 million people. The press conference, Abdul Rahman Ahmed Bundi Special Assistant to Borno State Government on New Media, addressed concerns about camp closures, clarified that the government announced a voluntary return for those who feel it's safe, while others continue to stay. However, he added that a phased closure of the camps will begin soon to allow academic activities to return to normal.
The governor himself explaining that nobody was told to leave the IDP camp. So anyone that thinks his house is safe enough to return is free to return voluntarily. But anybody whose community, the governor
has been shut since September 10. Governor Babagana Zulum of Borno State has constituted a 32-member committee on flood disaster relief distribution for victims of Maiduguri flood. This is contained in a statement from the Secretary to Borno Government, Alhaji Bukar Tijani. Government said the committee has Alhaji Baba Gujubawu, Special Advisor to the Governor on Monitoring Evaluation, as chairman, while Professor Ibrahim Umara of University of Maiduguri as co-chairman. Other members include representatives of Northeast Development Commission, Police, EFCC, ICPC, DSS, NSCDC, NEMA, SEMA, religious and traditional rulers, as well as relevant ministries, departments, and agencies, MDAs, representatives of United Nations organizations in Borno, and civil society organizations would also serve as members. The Nigerian Meteorological Agency, NIMET, has predicted 3-day nationwide thunderstorms in parts of Sokoto, Kebbi, and Borno states taking the lead. A weather outlook released on Sunday said it envisaged thunderstorms over parts of Borno, Yobe, Jigawa, Taraba, Adamawa, Gombe, Bauchi, Kano, Katsina, Kaduna, Zamfara, Kebbi, and Sokoto states later in the day. Thunderstorms are anticipated over parts of the Federal Capital Territory, Niger, Nasarawa, Benue, Plateau, and Kwara states during the morning hours. In the afternoon and evening periods, isolated thunderstorms are expected over parts of Kwara, the Federal Capital Territory, Niger, Benue, and Kogi states. Rains are envisaged over the southwest inland, especially parts of Oyo, Ondo, Osun, Ekiti, and Ogun, extending to the coastal states of Lagos, Delta, Rivers, Cross River, Akwa Ibom, and Bayelsa states during the morning hours, it said. The agency again said thunderstorms are expected over parts of ENUGU, Edo, Ebonyi, Ondo, Abia, Osun, Imo, Ekiti, Delta, Bayelsa, Cross River, Rivers, and Lagos states later in the day. NIMET stated thunderstorms are envisaged over parts of the Federal Capital Territory, Niger, Benue, and Nasarawa states within the morning hours. Later in the day, thunderstorms are expected over the Federal Capital Territory, Niger, Nasarawa, Benue, Plateau, and Kwara states. Morning rains are envisaged over parts of Enugu, Ebonyi, Abia, Imo, Lagos, Bayelsa, Akwa Ibom, Cross River, and River states, while the remaining parts of the south should be cloudy. Later in the day, thunderstorms are expected over parts of the Federal Capital Territory, Plateau, Nasarawa, and Benue states, among others. NIMET urged residents to avoid flood-prone areas, as there is a high likelihood of urban flooding in major cities due to heavy rains. Statement urged Nigerians to adhere to safety advisories and airline operators to get updated weather reports and forecasts from NIMET for effective planning in the operations. The federal government on Sunday appealed to Nigerians to clear their canals, drainages, and gutters to mitigate floods. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Yusuf Tugat, has called for collective support from the international community to help Africa tackle regional challenges on financing implementation of its sustainable development goals. Tugat made a call in his address at the UN General Assembly Summit of the Future that started from September 22 to 23, 2024 in New York, commended most of the Global South for significant support towards implementation of the SDGs 2030 agenda, saying that it was imperative to adopt measures to tackle challenges impeding development. He underscored the need for action-oriented measures to engender reform of the UN Security Council aimed at ensuring a permanent seat for Africa. Also for reform of international financial architecture to promote an inclusive, non-discriminatory and transparent international trading system, as well as to implement comprehensive debt relief measures. Others include the need for commitment to fossil fuel energy transition while giving due consideration to the principle of common but differentiated responsibilities, CBDR, and Articles 4 and 9 of the Paris Climate Agreement 2015. This, according to him, required the Global North to provide the Global South with the requisite support to achieve the net zero ambition. A fatal car crash at the Lekki-Ikoyi Link Bridge toll gate in Lagos has resulted in the death of 3 young individuals and ignited controversy over the handling of the incident by the police. The accident, which occurred around 1 a.m. on Monday, involved 2 cars carrying approximately 8 people. Social media user Dr. Love, Dr. Welevo, who shared details of the incident on Monday via X, said 18-year-old driver killed 3 of his friends in an accident. Police arrested the remaining 2 survivors. Driver was about 18 years old and without a driver's license. According to him, both drivers emerged unscathed from the wreckage. However, the aftermath of the accident and the handling of the situation by the police who arrived at the scene drew criticism from onlookers. The action reportedly shocked bystanders who urged the police to prioritize the victim's care. However, the Lagos State Police Public Relations Officer, SP Benjamin Udenyi, reacting to the report in a statement on X, said the police arrived at the scene and took occupants of the vehicles to the hospital. Unfortunately, 3 were certified dead. The police took the bodies to Yaba mortuary. Udenyi added that the police equally took the driver at fault to the hospital for medical attention and left him in the custody of his family after they were contacted. They assured that investigation into the incident is ongoing. Some automobile experts have said that cars using compressed natural gas save 70% in maintenance and running expenses compared to those running on pneumatic spirit. Speaking on the benefits of converting cars from using petrol to CNG, the experts noted that beyond fuel efficiency, CNG is environmentally friendly, improved engine performance, and extends its longevity. The Director General of Nigerian Institute of Transport Technology, Bayero Farah, said that using CNG cars would save 70% on running expenses compared to cars that run on petrol. He said there will be an extension of service duration, engine performance, and emission close to international standards while using CNG cars over those that use petrol. According to him, CNG would have a stable price for a long period of time because it is not dependent on exchange rates and production challenges like PMS and diesel. The NITT boss, however, said that the disadvantage was just the initial cost of conversion, which is very high at the moment. Similarly, National President of the Amalgamated Union of Motor Mechanics and Technicians, Hussaini Suleiman, said that CNG cars guaranteed cheaper maintenance costs than petrol-powered cars. He said CNG burns more cleanly than petrol, reducing wear and tear on engine components, and its combustion produces significantly lower emissions compared to PMS and diesel. Another electricity tariff hike may be introduced in October 2024 by the Nigerian government as the country monthly power subsidy rose to 181.63 billion in September. This comes as electricity subsidy by the federal government rose from 181.63 billion in September from 102.30 billion in May. In the last 3 months, the government paid 163.87 billion in July, 173.88 billion in August, and 181.63 billion in September 2024. Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NEC, had revealed that the monthly electricity subsidy at the time stood at 140.7 billion. Accordingly, in the period under review, the NEC put the dollar exchange rate at 494.1 in July, 1,564.3 in August, and 1,601.5 in September. As of September, the NEC maintained the benchmark gas-to-power price of 2.42 million British thermal units, based on the established benchmark price of gas to power by the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, in line with Section 167 of the Petroleum Industry Act 2021. This encased the rising cost of power generation in Nigeria. The Nigerian rail system has implemented an increase in the rail revenue and passenger growth, thereby generating 1.6 billion naira in the second quarter of the year. More updates in our business news.
Nigeria's rail system saw an increase in revenue and passenger growth in the second quarter of 2024. According to a report by the National Bureau of Statistics, the Nigerian Railway Corporation generated 1.69 billion naira from passenger traffic during the period, reflecting a 53.14% increase from the 1.10 billion naira earned in the same quarter of 2023. Over 600,000 passengers traveled by rail in the second quarter of 2024, marking a 45.38% growth from the previous year. Goods transported by rail also saw significant growth, with 143,759 tons moved in the second quarter of 2024, compared to just 56,936 tons in the same period last year. Additionally, the Nigerian Railway Corporation reported moving 5,940 tons of goods via pipelines in the second quarter, an increase from 2,856 tons in 2023. Revenue from goods transportation rose sharply, with the sector generating 537.36 million naira, up from 175.22 million naira last year, an increase of over 200%. Nigeria's government is rolling out a new set of initiatives aimed at spurring economic growth, including corporate tax cuts and long-term low-interest loans to businesses. Wale Edun, the finance minister and coordinating minister for the economy, announced the plan during Access Bank's 2024 Corporate Customer Forum in Lagos. Edu explained that the government will focus on reducing corporate income tax and shifting the burden to high-end consumption by increasing taxes on luxury goods. At the same time, essential items such as food and pharmaceuticals will be exempt from value-added tax VAT. This, he believes, will boost local production and stimulate demand across key sectors such as agriculture, power, health, and manufacturing. Coca-Cola has announced plans to invest $1 billion in Nigerian operations over the next 5 years. This was revealed during a meeting between President Bola Tinubu and senior Coca-Cola executives, including John Murphy, President and CFO of Coca-Cola, and Zoran Bogdanovic, CEO of Coca-Cola HBC. Since 2013, Coca-Cola has invested $1.5 billion in Nigeria to boost production, enhance its supply chain, and support workforce development. Bogdanovic emphasized the company's continued commitment, stating that with a stable business environment, they will further increase their investment. Mianyang, a city in southwest China's Sichuan province and the country's only officially designated science and technology hub, continues to make significant strides in innovation. Ranked 17th among the top 50 cities for SkyTech competitiveness in 2023, Mianyang jumped 24 places in just 2 years. It is also recognized as one of the top 10 cities with the highest potential for SkyTech innovation. The city's booming electronic display industry has played a critical role in this success. Changhong, a leading consumer electronics company based in Mianyang, operates a smart factory where a new LCD screen is produced every 6 seconds. The company's cutting-edge 10-bit LCD technology has enabled them to achieve ultra-high-definition video resolutions of 7,680 by 4,320. In Beijing's central business district, hundreds of eager customers braved the rain in early morning of Friday, September 20th to be among the first to get their hands on Apple's newly released iPhone 16. Approximately 300 people lined up at an Apple store collecting the phones they had pre-ordered online. Despite the excitement surrounding the new smartphone, the launch in China has been somewhat overshadowed by Apple's delay in providing an AI-powered experience tailored for Chinese users. The iPhone 16 was designed around the company's new AI software, Apple Intelligence, which won't be available in Chinese until next year, raising concerns among tech enthusiasts about Apple's ability to compete in China's highly competitive tech market. Huawei's long-awaited Mate XT smartphone was officially launched in China on Friday, September 20th, but fans were left frustrated by supply shortages. The $2,800 phone, priced at more than twice the iPhone 16 Pro Max, which also was released the same day, was not available for walk-in purchases, leaving customers' needs unmet. Despite the excitement surrounding the launch, many customers expressed concerns about the phone's steep price. Huawei has enjoyed strong patriotic support in China, particularly after facing tough U.S. sanctions that initially crippled its smartphone business. Analysts believe the Mate X's use of a locally made chipset signals the company's ability to handle U.S. export restrictions. Concerns remain about whether Huawei can mass-produce the phone to meet demand. In Europe, markets took a hit on Friday, September 20th as investors reacted to recent central bank decisions. The pan-European Stoxx 600 index fell by 0.47%, with auto stocks being the biggest losers. Mercedes dropped by 8.3% after announcing a downward revision of its 2024 forecast due to a weaker demand from China, while Volvo and Stellantis shares also slid, falling 4.38% and 2.97%. The European market downturn contrasts with data showing that UK retail sales grew by 1% in August, beating expectations. Shares of Burberry fell 3.6% after investment bank Jefferies downgraded the stock. The British fashion brand was officially removed from the FTSE 100 index on Friday, following a poor year for its share price. At the close of the trading session on Friday, September 20th on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, a total of 554 million shares valued at over 10.1 billion naira were traded across 8,670 deals. This represents a 21% increase in traded volume and a 55% boost in turnover compared to the previous trading session. The number of deals also saw a 12% decline. The overall market capitalization now stands at 56.5 trillion naira. 111 equities participated in the trading, with 35 recording gains and 21 recording losses. Leading the gainers was Fitsin Healthcare, which appreciated by 10% to close at 15 naira 95 kobo per share. Other top performers included Meyer, Caverton Offshore and PZ Cousins, all gaining around 9.8%. On the losing side, FBN Holdings saw a 9.98% price drop to 27 naira 50 kobo per share, followed by Northern Nigeria Flour Mills, the Nigeria Infrastructure Debt Fund, and Flour Mills Nigeria, all recording losses near 10%. In terms of trading volume, FBN Holdings led the market with 152 million shares traded, followed by Japol Gold and Ventures with 150 million shares. Fidelity Bank and USC of Nigeria also traded 27.2 million and 26 million shares. On the market indices, the NGX All-Share Index rose by 0.25% to close at 98,247.99 points, adding to a one-week gain of 1.26% and a strong year-to-date gain of 31.39%. And that's the news on business and finance. I am Tamsinime Natus.
Still to come, ECOWAS president demands action on global promises at UNGA. Centrist Barrow takes over a French foreign ministry. Stay with us. The President of Economic Community of West African States Commission, Omar Chere, has emphasized the need for tangible action and long-standing commitments to global peace and development. Chere spoke at a summit of the future at the United Nations General Assembly in New York. This was stated in a statement from the ECOWAS Commission on Monday. Chere commended the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres for convening the summit, noting its importance at a time when the world faces pivotal choices. Chere highlighted the need to choose between a chaotic past and a more just and collaborative future, questioned the novelty of the Pact for the Future, asserting that many of its commitments have been previously articulated under various UN frameworks, called for decisive action on issues such as peace and security, sustainable development, climate justice, and youth empowerment. He urged leaders to focus on fostering regional unity and integration, warning against the dangers of disunity and conflict, particularly in West Africa. The South African Police Service released a video that shows bullets of suspected to be cocaine retrieved from the body of a suspected drug mule at O.R. Tambo Airport in Johannesburg on Sunday. Police said they had arrested a 30-year-old female who has released more than 63 of these bullets suspected to be cocaine, but they could not immediately determine the value of the seized drugs. Police also released X-ray image, which they said confirmed and detected foreign objects in the stomach of the arrested individual. Statement also noted that the suspect was Namibian and arrived in South Africa from the Brazilian city of Sao Paulo.
These are some of the suspected drugs that have been released by the drug mule that was arrested at OR Tambo Airport on Sunday morning. The SAPS was following up on intelligence that a drug mule would arrive from Sao Paulo, from Brazil to South Africa, carrying suspected cocaine. The team immediately intercepted this particular suspect. She was taken to a local hospital where she was given a medication to release some of these drugs. So far, she has released more than 63 of these bullets suspected to be cocaine. She is under police guard and police are monitoring her. Police cannot rule out the possibility that she is working with a bigger and larger syndicate. The National Commissioner of the SAPS has applauded the vigilance of the multidisciplinary team at the OR Tambo Airport, who continue to clamp down on all forms of criminality. In the last 2 months, the team at OR Tambo have intercepted and arrested 10 drug mules and have seized and confiscated more than 13 million worth of drugs. The value of these drugs cannot be estimated at this particular stage, as the process to release them from the suspect's body is still underway.
Tanzanian police have arrested 2 opposition leaders over anti-government protests in the commercial capital, Dar es Salaam. The main opposition party, Chadema's chairman, Freeman Mbowe, was detained on the street while his deputy, Tundu Lissu, was taken from his home and made plans to demonstrate against alleged killings and abductions of government critics. Rights campaigners say President Samia Suluhu Hassan's government is targeting opponents ahead of local elections in December and a national vote in 2025. Police said 14 people were arrested, including Mbowe and Lissu, for defying a prohibition on the protest. Centrist outgoing Europe Minister Jean-Noël Barrot was on Monday promoted to foreign minister in France's new government. A new cabinet formed after elections in July marks a rightward shift in domestic policy. But Barrot hails from the centrist Modern Party and was part of a previous government. Barrot named peace, climate, democracy, and prosperity as major challenges facing French diplomacy. U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris is pushing for a new debate next month as the November 5th election nears, while former President Donald Trump has declined to participate in any further debate. On Sunday, Harris urged Trump to accept a proposal to debate on CNN on October 23 as a follow-up to their September 10 debate on ABC. Speaking to supporters at a North Carolina rally on Saturday, Trump said it was too late for another debate because early voting has already started in some states. Harris plans to roll out a new set of economic policies that aim to help Americans build wealth and set economic incentives for businesses to aid that goal.
Well, it's showing that there's a lot of support for our message and what we need to do in terms of moving forward and charting a new way forward and dispensing with all of the attempts to divide our country and to just, really, the problem I think on the other side is that there is a devaluation of who the American people are. Just don't really understand that we've got a lot of good people in our country who want to work hard and do well and want a leader who believes that we're, in this together. And I do.
Are you giving an economic speech this week, Madam
Yes.
President? Can you tell us anything about what that's going to be about in the preview?
So I'm going to be giving a speech this week that is really to outline my vision for the economy. As you've heard me talk about, I believe in what we can create in terms of opportunity for the American people. I've named it an opportunity economy, which really, in short form, is about what we can do more to invest in the aspirations, the ambitions, and the dreams of the American people while addressing the challenges that they face, whether it be the high price of groceries or the difficulty in being able to acquire home ownership, because for a number of reasons, including we don't have enough housing supply.
Will the fair economy be part of it?
British Finance Minister Rachel Reeves was interrupted by a pro-Palestinian protester on Monday as she gave a speech at a Labour conference in Liverpool. TV footage showed the protester being removed from the conference hall by security after shouting. Britain suspended 30 of its 350 arms export licenses with Israel earlier this month because of fear that such equipment might be used to commit serious violations of international humanitarian law.
Selling arms to Israel. I fought for the voting for change, Rachel. Climate breakdown is on our doorstep. And we are still backing down. The economy is
During her speech, Reeves said that the era of trickle-down, trickle-out economics was over and ruled out a return to austerity. Finance Minister painted a picture of a future Britain richer from investment in manufacturing and services, where work paid a decent wage and where the new generations could thrive.
Trickle-out economics is over, and so I can announce that next month, alongside our Business Secretary, Jonathan Reynolds, we will publish our plans for a new industrial strategy for Britain. This government will introduce VAT on private school fees to invest in our state schools. It is the fair choice, the responsible choice, the Labour choice to support the 94% of our children in our state schools. That is the Britain we're building. That is the Britain that I believe in. At conference, we want that money back.
Reeves again said that the government will not raise income tax, national insurance, social security payments, value-added tax and corporation tax, but warned that there will be difficult choices to come in the future. Election Observer Mission of the European Union, EU, held a press conference in Colombo on Monday following the peaceful conclusion of a presidential election in the island nation. Chief Observer Naku Sanchez Amor commended the Election Commission for its management of the nationwide voting process. However, criticized the hours-long curfew imposed on election night, calling it a troubling signal from the authorities regarding their respect for voters. Amor stated that the EU Observer team will return to Colombo soon with a detailed written report and recommendations, while the newly elected president, Anura Kumara Desanayake, settles into office.
I'm very happy to say probably this is of my long list of missions, the mission with which I had the opportunity to appreciate the commitment and the capacity and the excellent results of the work of the Election Commission. In many ways, very transparent, very efficient, very professional, trusted. Not one single of my interlocutors, and probably the rest of the team, has never cast a minor doubt about the attitude of the Election Commission. And to enjoy this trust is really an asset that you have to enjoy it and to keep it and to take care of. The same day in which a state institution, as the Election Commission said, this has been the most peaceful electoral campaign and electoral process in our history. The same day, there was a curfew. And this is not matching. Some of the contenders, they didn't protest because after this fear-mongering campaign, talking about the inevitability of the violence, probably some contenders were afraid that anything that happened is going to be attributed to us. You have many things to show to other countries. And one has been mentioned. It's better to discuss about the economy than discussing about religion. Look what's happening in Bangladesh. It's better to discuss about the welfare and the daily progress of the people. And you have to suspect when your political elite escape from this framework is because they don't have a lot to offer for the daily life of the people, so they escape to the creation of tension to try to use the tension in a way that could be conducive for the goal. But you have many things to export to many countries in the world regarding the excellency in general of your political electoral process.
Sri Lanka's new president, Anura Kumara Desanayake, vowed to bring clean politics and revive his country's economy in his inauguration speech on Monday. He had won a comprehensive victory in the debt-ridden South Asian country's presidential election a day earlier. The Sananake, who does not possess political lineage, like some of his rivals in the presidential election, led from start to finish to an accounting of votes, knocking out the present president, Ranil Wickremesinghe, and opposition leader Sajit Premadasa. About 75% of the 17 million eligible voters cast their ballots. This was the country's first election since its economy buckled in 2022 under a severe foreign exchange shortage, leaving it unable to pay for imports of essentials including fuel, medicine, and cooking gas. Fears of an escalating conflict intensified in Beirut on Monday. Some Lebanese citizens rushed to pick up their children after some schools closed early amid threats of an all-out war. Residents of southern Lebanon received calls from a Lebanese number ordering them to immediately distance themselves 1,000 meters from any post used by Hezbollah. Evacuation calls have been received on phones as far as the Lebanese capital Beirut. Israeli warplanes conducted a wave of intense airstrikes on towns along Lebanon's southern border and even further north on Monday morning. Meanwhile, Hezbollah claimed to have launched dozens of rockets at several Israeli military posts in response to Israeli strikes on targets belonging to the group. The airstrikes have intensified pressure on Hezbollah, which last week suffered an attack its Secretary General Hassan Nasrallah called unprecedented in the history of the group. The thousands of pagers and walkie-talkies used by its members exploded. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that Israel faced complicated days as the armed forces shift their focus to the country's northern frontier, from where Hezbollah has been firing rockets into Israel in support of its ally, Hamas. After talking with commanders at military headquarters in Tel Aviv, Netanyahu appealed for unity as Israel increases airstrikes in southern Lebanon, saying that the operations were aimed at changing the security balance, the balance of power in the north. After almost a year of war against Hamas in Gaza on its southern border, Israel is shifting its focus to its northern frontier, from where Hezbollah has been firing rockets into Israel in support of its ally, Hamas. Israel's military began carrying out fresh strikes against Hezbollah positions in Lebanon on Monday to identifying that an Iran-backed group was preparing to attack Israel. Spokesperson Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari called on residents of South Lebanon to keep away from Hezbollah posts. Tens of thousands of people have been evacuated from homes on both sides of the Israel-Lebanon border since Hezbollah began firing rockets at Israel in October in sympathy with Palestinians in the nearly year-old Israeli war against Hamas in Gaza.
Following indications that Hezbollah was preparing to fire towards Israeli territory, we began striking terrorist targets throughout Lebanon. The Hezbollah terrorist organization has been continuously launching attacks on Israeli civilians and has no plans to stop. Shortly, the IDF will engage in extensive precise strikes against terror targets which have been embedded widely throughout Lebanon. We ask residents of Lebanese villages to pay attention to the message and warning published by the IDF and heed them. This is an advance warning for your own safety and the safety of your family. We advise civilians from Lebanese villages located in and next to buildings and areas used by Hezbollah for military purpose, such as those used to store weapons, to immediately move out of harm's way for their own safety.
Ukrainian officials on Monday said at least 16 civilians were injured, including a 15-year-old boy, late on Sunday as a result of Russia's airstrike on the southern eastern city of Zaporizhia. Ukraine's emergency services posted a video on its Facebook page showing rescuers trying to remove debris and unblock an entrance to an apartment and attending to wounded people at night in front of a damaged residential building. Videos from newsmen were able to partially verify the location of the video from nearby structures, traffic sign, and road layout that matched the file imagery of the area. Zaporizhia Governor Ivan Fedorov said on the Telegram messaging app that Russia dealt at least 7 airstrikes to the city and the surrounding district, damaging 13 apartment buildings, education institutions, cars, garages, and private residences. Said that in total, Russia conducted 363 air and ground strikes in the past day on 12 settlements in the broader Zaporizhia region, of which the Zaporizhia city is the administrative center. Both sides deny targeting civilians in the attacks. Thousands of civilians have been killed, the vast majority of them Ukrainians, in a war that Moscow launched with a full-scale invasion in February 2022. The Israeli military conducted another round of extensive strikes against targets of Iranian-backed Hezbollah movement in Lebanon on Monday, suggested a ground incursion may be needed to secure its war goals. Israel has simultaneously carried out since its conflict with Hezbollah began nearly a year ago in parallel with the war on Gaza. Smoke was seen rising over southern Lebanon villages from Marjayon and from Tyre. The attacks came amid some of the heaviest cross-border exchanges of fire in nearly a year of conflict. The military gave no further details of the strikes. Israeli military spokesperson Daniel Lagari called on residents of South Lebanon to keep away from Hezbollah posts, said Israel began striking Hezbollah posts in Lebanon after identifying an intention to fire on Israel. Australia's consumer watchdog, the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission, ACCC, accused the country's 2 largest supermarket chains of misleading shoppers about discounts. Hundreds of products and lawsuits filed on Monday, tightening pressure on the sector amidst the cost of living crisis. Several lawsuits, the ACCC said Woolworths and Coles held prices steady on certain products for up to 2 years, then hiked them only to advertise them as being on sale soon after. The regulators' lawsuits mark a major escalation of pressure on Australia's supermarket giants, which have faced accusations of profiting unfairly from consumers at a time when interest rates, housing prices, and energy bills have also risen sharply.
Today, the ACCC has taken proceedings against each of Woolworths and Coles for allegedly misleading price claims, discounted price claims, on hundreds of popular supermarket products in breach of the Australian consumer law. We allege that Woolworths and Coles offered the products at regular long-term prices for 6 months or more, then increased the price for a short period before placing the products on the Woolworths Prices Dropped promotion or the Coles Down Down promotion at prices higher than or the same as the prior regular price. The ACCC alleges that the price discounts as promoted were misleading because the discount was illusory. In addition, the ACCC alleges that in many cases, Woolworths and Coles planned the temporary price spike in order to establish a new higher was price for their was now price discount promotions. We know, we understand that many consumers are seeking to manage their household budgets, including through the use of discounts on their grocery purchases. In times of cost of living pressures, it is critical that all pricing claims and price discount claims are accurate. We're seeking a significant penalty. This is serious conduct that is of great concern to us that affected many consumers with millions.
Barcelona goalkeeper Marc-Andre ter Stegen would undergo surgery after suffering a complete rupture of a patellar tendon in his right knee. 32-year-old Germany international picked up the injury during Barcelona's 5-1 win at Villarreal in La Liga on Sunday. Ter Stegen fell badly after jumping for a ball just before halftime, was visibly in pain as he was carried off the pitch on a stretcher. All of his weight fell on his right leg as he injured the same knee on which he had already undergone 2 surgeries in recent years, and another surgery could prove season-ending, Spanish media had reported earlier. That's the news this hour. I am Barry Kumo Ado. Thank you very much for watching.
It is a money-making Monday. And we are here trying to make sure that we give you everything you need to know about what's happening in and around you right here on Signature Morning on Signature Television. Happy Monday to you, and welcome to another segment, which is we'll be starting with the newspaper headlines, the newspaper review, and of course interview, and many interesting segments we don't want to miss out today. I am not doing this alone, of course. I'm doing this with Charles. Good morning, Charles.
Good morning to you. How do you do? You're great. I mean, you spoke about money-making Monday.
Yeah,
I'm not surprised, because some residents of Edo State have made some monies having sold their votes to the highest bidder. And so it's a huge congratulations to them. Welcome to a new world. You have a new governor from the All Progressives Congress, and so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, and of course, we are doing this also with Chris Madaka. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning. Good morning, Belinda. Good morning, Charles. You're making money on a Monday.
It is a positive vibe.
It's good. I like your positivity and your state of mind, and you're bubbling with energy, and it's infectious. But like Charles said, remember the way you made your math. That's how you're going to sleep on it. So good luck to our Nigerians. We don't have any reason to complain when we clearly make decisions, directly or indirectly, whether you made it consciously or unconsciously, whether you took money or you did it for free, you did it for pro bono. Give out the rights of your children and everybody, and then we are here to stay. God bless Nigeria.
God bless also Edo people. All right, let's move ahead to the newspapers this morning. We'll be starting off with the Punch newspapers, okay? Let's look at what's happening on the Punch this morning. Edo poll, PDP alleges rigging as APC Okpebole wins. With the rider, PDP governors insist candidates won. Obaseki vows to seek redress. Ighodalo rejects results. Tinubu congratulates Okpebole as Akpabio Osimole. Shaibu, APC supporters jubilate. You see, some people are jubilating and some people are not. Okay. Also, we have just above the mask, a fresh tariff hike looms as monthly power subsidy hits 181 billion naira. And PDP crisis, Atiku backs anti-Damagun NWC members. MPC may lower interest rates Tuesday.
And still on the Punch newspaper, 1 year after, Tinubu yet to appoint ambassadors for 109 embassies. 80-year-old man arrested with cannabis in Lagos. Congress approves 3.6 billion naira for Lagos FA 2024-2025 season. LP crisis, Abure faction nukes off sanctions for Obi. LP crisis, Abure faction rules out sanction for Peter Obi. Oyo mob beats soldier over alleged killing of NSCDC's officer. DSS frees 6 hunger protesters to arraign 3. That's on page 14 of the Punch newspaper.
All right, moving ahead to the Daily Trust newspapers this morning. APC's Ukpebole wins a dog governorship election. With the writers, PDP reject results. Obaseki calls for calm. Vote buying, disruption of coalition, Marpose. Tinubu, Buhari, Baru hail own party's victory. And that's the main news from the Daily Trust newspapers.
Petrol is 52 naira per litre in Libya. Petrol is 52 naira per litre in Libya.
52 naira
per litre, of course. And Libya is an oil-producing country. I mean, there has been this argument about whether Nigeria should reduce its own price, because so many people think that it has to be pegged at an international practice or international price. But right now, Libya is also playing in that field, and an oil-producing country. And then you wonder if it is 52 naira in Libya, why is it not lower in Nigeria?
Okay, we'll get back to that. Serap urges Tinubu to probe a... Okay, I think...
That's
all the details you can find on the Daily Trust. We're moving over to the Leadership newspaper. On the Leadership this morning, finally, DSS releases End Bad Governance protesters.
terrorist bomber 330 kV Damaturu Maiduguri power line.
Current petrol pump price still driven by subsidy.
Council polls, APC clears Kwara, Imo State, Imo seat.
APC's Okwebolo floors Igodalo, Akbata in Edo governorship. With the rider scores 291,667 votes, PDP trails with 247,274 votes, Labour Party 22,761. Police walk Obaseki out of INEC office, PDP governorship kick, Tinubu, Buhari, others hail victory.
Serap 6 probe of ecological funds.
Coal mine explosion kill 51 in Iran.
Tinubu others crack down on cyber crime car theft.
Nigeria's annual tire import hits 108 billion naira.
All right, let's look at the new Telegraph this morning. INEC declares APC's Okwebolo winner with 291,667 votes. PDP's Igodalo pulls 247,000, as LP's Akbata gainers to 22,763.
State pardon for corrupt public officers undermining anti-corruption fight, says SAN.
DSS releases 6 detained and bad governance protesters.
Afe Babalola warns federal government NNPC Limited against PMS price monopoly to frustrate Dangote refinery.
Soft drinks, diet low in omega-6 driving strokes. That's from study.
Revenue generation, federal government agencies earnings up 89.56% to 617.76 billion naira.
Aviation, Nigeria to shift foreign traffic gap to domestic carriers.
All the details you can find on the new Telegraph. We're headed over to the Business Day newspaper. On the Business Day this morning, Nigeria late to gas party as inertia cost $30 billion.
APC's Okwebolo declared winner of a disputed poll.
External reserves hit 22-month high amidst Naira struggles.
New spectrum banned to curb Nigeria's incessant network outages.
And that's all on the Business Day newspaper. We're headed over to the Daily Independent, if we have that. If we don't have that, then we'll move over to the Daily Times newspaper.
Edo governorship poll, why APC's Okwebolo triumphed with the rider PDP kicks alleges irregularities of the collation of process by INEC. Irregularities very apparent, extremely scandalous. That's Azir Gbemi, that's from Azir Gbemi, and also have that Tinubu Ganduje congratulates Edo governor-elect Okwebolo.
All right, still on the Daily Times newspaper, federal government announces contactless passport renewal for Nigerians.
Tinubu orders crackdown on cyber criminals, transnational car theft.
Commends EFCC for returning $180,000, 53 vehicles to Canada.
Investors on edge as delay in Sukuk savings bond payment raise concerns.
NDLEA intercepts 16.1 billion naira opioids in Lagos.
Climate finance by multilateral development banks hit record $125 billion in 2023 from report.
All the details you can find on the Daily Times this morning. We're headed over to our reviewer in studio this morning, Mr. Chris Maduka. Good morning once again, Chris. Quite interesting things that we're seeing out of Edo State. Elections are done, the winner is known. What's your reaction?
Well, INEC have declared the result. It's not surprising. There's this, I've been where prayers are said. Say, God,
did it before, and he will be able to do it again. So the INEC, the almighty INEC of Nigeria, has done it before, and they've done it again. So good kudos to INEC. But what I'm saying, this is an environment, and in all ramification of sense of equity and fair play. We do not have the powers to say this happened, but there are some glaring evidences of irregularities in the election. And then why these always been in a hurry to declare result when you know there are protests? This is another business for the court. INEC, over time in Nigeria, has relinquished their position to give Nigerians credible elections to the court. They will just do rigmarole and all that kind of trash, and they push it to the court. Imagine what they call them, how many men will sit. Imagine the horse trading and money that will exchange hands. Imagine the time it will take. Imagine the time we waste. Some people have recommended that before you declare anybody, you give, I think this part of why our constitution is totally flawed. If you are declaring somebody, you give time. You know how they do it in the church when they want to wed people. If anybody here who knows why this marriage cannot take place, let him raise his or her hand or keep silent forever. Why is it in Nigerian election? You see clear protesters saying, we do not agree with that. You rush to declare somebody, and then you push it to the court. And we keep wasting time. We put somebody there who will spend the next 1 year in office going to court to defend the position you so-called elected. Isn't that flawed?
Let me ask you this. If people sold their vote and someone who paid more for their votes emerged, do you think the will of the people was subverted?
There is nowhere when somebody is paid to vote, I say the will is not subverted. When you weaponize hunger.
No, but at this
and
time...
then somebody is at the verge of hunger and hardship, you offer small money for a vote. The person will vote. Is that fair? Is that free or fair? When it was clear case of vote buying.
But it's your decision to sell.
No, it's not just that. Because when you're talking about where in Nigeria, okay, so legalize it.
No, I'm just saying, like
legalize with vote buying.
If you have sold your mandates for somebody else to emerge, the person whom who paid
just
for
look at the number of people that elected the governor. Look at the number, 291,000 in a state that can beat every record to say there are more than 5 million people. Bring it down to the number of people who registered to vote. And this number elected the governor of a state. If you want to buy votes in Edo State, go and buy 5 million people. Bring money, buy all of them, let them vote for you. Let them see the number. But with this number, you're declaring a governor of Edo State. Edo State. Something is wrong. And it's flawed. From the word go, we were sitting here, and we saw where they were going and were shouting. So this issue, are you saying it's only vote buying that brought these people here? There are viral video that we watched. It's still on my phone here, where electoral materials were being burnt in the bushes around Benin. They were not counted. Are you saying only vote buying brought the person who they've declared? Look at other things that brought in. Toggery, rigging, then go into everything. Intimidation, do other things, then might not sit and bring out the fairness in it. If the fairness that brought him is higher, then good luck to whoever emerges. Remember what we are saying. When he's saying the system is flawed, we don't care. After all, not from Edo State. If Edo people decide to sell their right, like we are trying to argue, Beautiful, good luck to him. But I'm saying, if you are observing from far and you see irregularities, and everybody who's supposed to talk against illegality didn't talk, maybe because he favors them, that will tell you where Nigeria is going. And it is wrong, no matter, even if it's my mother that is doing what we are seeing being done, it is wrong. And it's not smacking of anything for the future of Nigeria.
Both parties were accused of irregularities in that particular election. Because the governor was walked out of the INEC office.
He walked out?
He was walked out. But he was supposed to be there in the first place.
I'm not justifying this. Remember what we are saying.
Yeah.
Whoever has got involved in rigging, whether it's the incumbent, whether it's the oppositions, they're all wrong in that aspect. And we are saying, where will this kind of dog eat dog take Nigerians to? It just showed we are back as animals in the state of nature. The survival of the fittest. Is that the election? It is not. And look at, if you are doing it anywhere, it is now the party at this federal level. Suppression. The ones at the state level are doing it with local government election. And we are condemning it. And I am not saying we, because I condemn. It's my opinion. At the state level, the people are doing it. Whenever a state is there, all of the, not even one councillor from another state. A party in Nigeria that have over 50 registered political parties. And they find winner takes it all. And now we see the same thing playing out over time. What will Nigeria be? What's the essence of election? It's as good as go back to the barracks, bring the soldiers, one man, stand there, yes sir. When I say jump, you ask me how high. That's the kind of thing they're pushing. That's not democracy. If this thing continues, we say we are doing it. With so much money, lives and property, and come back to the same level, where have we gone to with this? In the sense of all things pure and holy, this is wrong. Whatever way, whichever party that is involved in vote buying and to imagine, then it means the system is flawed. System is totally flawed. I'm not saying we don't have powers to decide who comes. INEC still holds the power, and it's in Nigeria. They have done it before. They've done it again. Even if they fault it, they close their eyes, and we sit that back. Is it not all of us in Nigeria going to the same market to buy beans and rice and whatever, and gari? Is it not all of us that are cleaning at the filling station buying fuel in Nigeria at 1,400 on the average? Is it not in this same country?
All right, I mean, there's a whole lot, really. I mean, I don't know how much reform you think we should have in our current space.
We are not making any reform moves. That's why we are going. Just look back how far we've gone. We have even practicalized our, sliding back. Some people narrated, look at it, but we slide back on the negative side, or where it becomes easier for us. It was easier for us to slide back to old national anthem. Why did we slide back to other things that happened in the past, like people have argued? Even Nigerian turns everything into a joke. If when we are singing Nigeria, we held you, we brought it back in 2000. At the time this national anthem was on in Nigeria, we know how much food it costs in the market. Somebody may say the population of Nigeria has increased, fine, over time. But then let our development, let all our policy match our growth. Our worry is that we take one step forward, 20 backwards, one step forward. So you can imagine if this continues over time, where we're going to be. Just imagine if all the Nigerian state governors suddenly close their eyes and open it, suddenly become one party's country. When Oga said, they will say Oga has spoken. And nobody has any other opinion. And you know how it is. Is it not what is playing out? Give the next, all these isolated elections coming. Then you find Nigeria as a one-party nation. With all this hunger and hardship, one-party nation.
Wow.
What has the other party members of the states who are under the same party at the center, What have they done when you are talking about hunger? Have any of those governors said anything? That will tell you what will happen. It has to be majority in democracy. Majority, we have their opinion. Okay, minority will have the opinion. Majority will have their way. We have not played to the rules. That's my concern. It has been, look at the money went into a election. Look at life lost. Look at this is how we continue? And it's war. Talk about beating drums of war at the end of it all. The people's will are thwarted. And then somebody emerge in this kind of thing, and people, and before even say emerge, a lot of people are protesting. And that's the next 4 years that will happen in Edo State. So, if it's, we are saying, if you are playing football, you say let the better team win. It has not become a star in Nigeria. What it means is let the more powerful, not better, the more powerful, the ones who are godfathers, the ones who have guns and ammunition, the ones who have the best interest to kidnap and intimidate, the ones who have more money, let them. That's what wins in Nigeria. But that's not election. We can find another way of calling it so that Nigerians will not look stupid in the Committee of Nations. So that we can justify it. Are you saying what happened in Edo State an election?
Wow.
We'll keep on seeing, watching what is going to happen after this declaration that was already made. Let's look at what is happening in terms of petrol. Petrol is 52 naira per litre in Libya. And of course, you know that Libya currently offers the cheapest price in terms of pump price, and they subsidized their fuel. What do you have to say to that in relation to Nigeria?
Do Libya belong to OPEC? With all these arrangements they are telling us and all the justification, why should Nigeria buy fuel at 1,400 naira? And this average, it will not go to the most remote parts where when you put every other cost on top of 1,400 naira. What the people in such villages, the same Nigeria, breathing the same Nigerian air, will buy fuel. It's not an error. I'm asking, if you rate Nigeria and Libya and the production of crude, even with their own problems in Libya, fuel is still selling at 52 naira. Well, then what justification do Nigerians have? NMPCL have, even Dangote, and all the people involved, and our Minister of Petroleum, which is our president. What justification can they have in Nigeria to save fuel at 1,400 naira? And with the promises, they've told us that IMF said that Nigeria is not yet selling at market. Is Libya in which planet? That's the question. Which planet? With all the challenges they have there. And who decides how much you sell fuel to your people when you can refine and when you can and drill and refine in your country?
They actually have refineries working in the country.
Fine.
It's working.
Okay, you refine. And because some forces has sworn that no refinery will work in Nigeria, even the private-owned one, they will go there and stoop on this thing they didn't bring out. You just go there on another person's waste. You go and sit down there. That they are part of the forces that do not want anything to happen. Assuming Nigeria crude oil, you are even not even in control. You know how much Nigeria spent to get private organizations to protect crude oil flow in Nigeria? Private security. I paid billions. Even after that, the